couple changes to our agenda. Can we do that right now?
We could probably wait till we get to consent agenda.
Okay, all right. So, you wanna go through your awards and recognitions and celebrations first, and then we're gonna make some minor changes to the agenda.
Awards, recognition, celebrations, I'd like to just start by saying next week is a very important week for our school district. We start school. It's the very exciting time. Our athletes have been here already training, and our musicians have been here training, and everybody's getting geared up for the beginning of the school year. But it's going to be really great. The first day of school is one of my favorite days of the year. So excited about starting next week. Also celebrating Miss Germain this is her birthday today. So
Yes. Happy birthday! 39.
So, me too.
In my heart. Thank you very much for that. Anything else?
I'll reserve that for a recommendation on the agenda.
Sure. Okay, at this point, we have an opportunity for public comments that are specific to our agenda. If anybody would like to make comments, please stand, state your name. Anyone? Okay, you'll have a second opportunity later in the meeting. With regard to our consent agenda, we do have the opportunity to approve our minutes, our agenda, which we would like to just reorder some of the items and eliminate one, and then resignations, retirements, and payment of bills, which you have in your packet. So we're going to take the, unless there's an objection, the coddling of the American Mind book study off of this particular meeting, and we'll continue that at the next meeting. And also, we are going to adjust our time, and Ben, you can advise us. We want to make sure that our new teachers have an opportunity to leave sooner rather than later, and we're waiting, I think, for one person to arrive.
I would just recommend that we move SCEA employment as an action item after the STEM camp presentation.
Okay. And with that change, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, Tony and Mike, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now we are back to you, Ben.
Great. Want to talk just a little bit. I mentioned earlier we're going to be starting school next week. Today we had our support staff professional development. This is the, in a lot of districts, actually we're one of the few that I know of, in a lot of districts they do professional development for administrators, they do it for teachers, but we often overlook our support staff. And so over the last few years we've started a pretty robust program. Mr. Bouchon does a lot of work around that, and we bring in relevant training for our educational aides, our bus drivers, our custodians, our mechanics, people who are working with our kids in RTI groups or in intervention groups, secretaries, and we provide them with some strong professional development. So it's been very exciting to see that group really kind of flourish in their professional learning. So this year was the first year that we actually had it as a required day, so everybody came. We did have some people, because of the notice, that were out just on vacation and that, but we did have a large group today. That was very, very positive. I spent the morning with them, and then also throughout the day got to see them attend some of their other sessions. But them getting trained in Alice and some of the safety protocols, seeing them get training around Google and how to be able to use those tools and leverage those tools, trauma-informed care, some of the nonviolent crisis intervention strategies, those types of things with the students that they're going to be working with. We're very, very neat to see them working. On Monday, we have a professional development day. I put it in my board update, but just so that you're aware, we do have a professional development day on Monday, and we will have in the morning a little bit of a celebration starting around 7:45 in the high school cafeteria. You're all welcome to attend. You're welcome to attend the whole day, part of the day. We are going to be launching into our focus of the instructional year, which is purpose. So we'll be going into that if you want to see some of the work that we're doing there. Also, I'll be preparing to email you. We have a communications plan that Mr. Claren has put together. I thought I'd have it for you tonight, but I'll have it for you I'll email it to you this week, which is a pretty exciting document just to kind of catalog and show you a process for how we're going to have our communications be pretty systemic this year. And I think our parents are going to really appreciate the consistency and regularity and quality of our communication. So we'll be getting that out to you this week as well. I want to let you know that on Monday night, the city of Swartz Creek the city council of Swartz Creek is having a meeting to discuss the safe routes for school. I would love to see some of us, I understand not all of us can attend, but love to see us attend if possible, and kind of have a joint opportunity to have conversations with the city council on the safe routes to school. We do partner with them in that process. There's some information that's going to be shared at that meeting. If you can't attend, I will certainly provide you with an update at our next meeting.
What time?
The meeting is at 7 o'clock. And the date, of course, is next week, Monday, the 26th.
Can I cut in, please? On
Yep.
that, they have our resolution that we all supported that, correct? So for
Correct.
the ones that don't show up, they know that we're entire, okay.
Absolutely. Yep, that one is, it's gonna be more of an informational meeting. They're
Okay.
gonna provide some of the data from the original surveys and things like that.
Thank you.
We also, many of you have attended or heard me talk about the Ring of Silence program. I believe Ms. LeNave has attended the viewing. We're actually going to be receiving copies, and we can have a conversation, I think, at a later date about how we would like to handle that human trafficking issue in terms of how we would educate our community, how we would educate students, what process would we want to use. And so we'll have an opportunity to utilize a copy for our district and decide how we want to disperse that information. So something that we can continue to keep on the radar. The last thing I'll just update you on, this is a good thing. We have extremely large response to our enrollment numbers. In fact, our kindergarten numbers are bursting at the seams. And one of the things that we've had to do in response to that is we've actually had to add a section of kindergarten. This is a great problem to have, but it's nonetheless requires some shuffling, and everybody's got to be kind of flexible at the beginning of the year. One of the challenges that does arise out of a result of having a large enrollment, and we're seeing it across the board, our numbers are trending in very positively. I'm not going to make any predictions or give any hard numbers right now, but I can tell you that they're significantly better than any time I've been here, for sure. But I will say that it's very difficult to find balance in our courses right now. So, if I'm running 30 students or more in a kindergarten classroom, that's a large number of students to have in a class that size. So we're trying to mitigate that, but it's very difficult because if I fix one building, I still have 4 others that may have problems, and so it makes it challenging in our current structure. And I know we talked about that in the past. We've had conversations about a consolidated model. This is, again, one of the reasons why we advocate for that, because certainly adding a teacher in kindergarten could alleviate 5 classrooms instead of just 1 or 2. And so that's a problem that we're facing right now, and it's a problem that we face every year, is just trying to find equity and balancing our numbers. But I hope to have a really positive report once our count comes in October, and we're able to see our enrollment trend continue to take an uptick. So that is all for me.
Very good news. Very good news. Okay, going on, we have informational items for the board, and we also have board subcommittee reports. Who would like to start? Brian? Mike?
I will.
Okay.
Finance Committee met on Monday. We received and discussed the consent agenda payment of bills report and the check register. We've got a copy. Check register for July is reviewed, and there were 113 general fund checks in the amount of $698,982. Payment fund 18 checks, $1,764,030. Building and site 2 checks, $3,900. Cafeteria fund 7 checks, $153,803. Journal Activity Fund, 18 checks, $21,546. Bond Project Fund, 1 check, $259,578. We had extensive discussion regarding the bond fund investments and possibly getting into CD investing. Chris reported that currently we're earning monthly around $100,000 investing in government securities. We discussed the risk involved with getting into CDs, and we recommend that we continue to stay conservative and not proceed with the CD investing. The bids for the maintenance trucks are in, and building at site will take care of that, and you'll be voting on that later, I believe. There are no other bids currently pending. The bids for middle school, Elms and Cage, will be going out in early fall, hopefully. We had discussion on the student activity funds. Several of the accounts have been consolidated or combined. Their tighter control procedures have been implemented, and all the affected personnel have received instructions on the state mandated procedures. Chris informed us that the 17-18 consolidated application grant programs are currently being audited by the Michigan Department of Education. She is responding to their findings and will keep us updated in the future. There were no public comments. Jessica had a question, and Chris explained her procedures regarding the projected following month budget line item expenses. We adjourned at 10:12 a.m. Any questions?
Thank you, Mike. You do a very nice job, very thorough. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I'll go.
Do you wanna go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Building and site met this Monday. Call to order was at 4:10. As Mike had mentioned, we talked about purchase of a new pickup truck, a plow truck, and we're gonna vote on that later today. I think it's a very good price, but we're gonna get on a brand new truck. We talked about the small equipment was moved from Mary Crapo over to the Little Dragons Learning Center. Our maintenance guys did that, but we're gonna look to have a firm move the big equipment. It was too much for our guys to handle. We also bought a power washer and a paint sprayer, because we're gonna start painting the warehouse. We're gonna rent a lift to do that, so that's gonna make it real nice. And bids came in for the cage to do the locker room floor, which we talked about last time. A non-slip floor is gonna be $5,100, and I think that's what we're gonna go with. We had no public comments, and meeting adjourned at 4:50.
Any questions for Tony? Okay. Brian, I think you're next.
We had a policy meeting Monday. We discussed two different policies. The first one was headlights, identifying it and what to do, and the response to it. We are aligned with the CDC policy, and we're going to continue to stay that way. We're going to be aligned with CDC. There was information on how to identify it and what the eggs and what have you, something that I really didn't even know about. But interesting discussion. We also talked about our new varsity sport, archery, and we've had some great success in that. Alicia is a mom on the one of the mothers of the one of the students on the team. But we discussed the bow and the arrows. The arrows, basically, we're gonna make sure that they are you're gonna have two sets. One set is left secured at the school, and under supervision will they be handed out. And then, of course, the students themselves will have their own set of arrows at home where they can practice. So they will not be together with the bow. The bow is not defined according to the, it's not intended to be a weapon, and we're gonna allow them to carry the bow in a sealed and locked case. We're just gonna have to find a place to dispose of it or store it during the school day. So it's gonna be a lot easier for the kids to bring their bows back and forth, but again, there's not gonna be any arrows with the bows.
And are you gonna talk about the headlights? Or?
Sure.
I just wanna clarify that our guideline would be updated to match the CDC or any other.
Yeah, so we're looking at updating our administrative guidelines to match what the Center for Disease Control would recommend as it pertains to head lice. And that includes just a couple minor adjustments to how we send letters and require parents notification. So it was a good discussion, for sure.
There were no public comments, and the meeting, we terminated at 8:05.
Any questions for Brian? Okay, thanks. We also met on Monday morning for academic achievement, and the committee learned a lot of information about what's been going on in preparation for the new school year. There was a proposal that was on our agenda tonight to add a 0-hour stage band or jazz ensemble program to the high school offering. I don't know that previously it's ever been a course where someone could earn credits. It was part of the band program. The committee was recommending that that be brought forward to this agenda tonight, which it is. And then Rod provided us an overview of the administrative retreat, and it sounds like they maybe had some fun and challenges at base camp, and some people overcame some fears. And
I just want to say, two of those people are with us today, you know. One of them, Mrs. Prayer, did make it to the high platform and hugged the beam. And Mr. Kitchen actually made it to the high beam and got back and forth safely. So it's pretty exciting.
great team building, though. And we also heard some details about feedback and coaching, some more information on 5D communications, and we were provided a code of ethics, Michigan Code of Ethics, and we'll probably be talking about that either today or at a future date. Additionally, there was an instructional retreat, and we got some information about that. A lot of really good work that's going on, and then the opening day staff PD that Ben mentioned, and that's coming up next week at 8 o'clock on the 26th. So, did I miss anything that you wanted to highlight?
We do have our new teacher training tomorrow, New Dragons, so we have 12 folks who will be joining us to do training right here in this room at 8 o'clock, 7:30 if you want coffee and donuts.
Any questions? A lot of good stuff going on. All right. Moving on, we have our board discussion items. The Summer STEM Camp 2019 presentation. Ms. Gilby.
Yeah, so we're excited. I don't know, Mrs. Gilby, do you need a screen to come down? Or?
That would be nice.
Okay. So we are very, very blessed and fortunate in our school district to have a tremendous STEM program. And Mrs. Bilby, as our district STEM coordinator, has been spearheading a lot of those efforts. And in addition to that, over the past couple years, we've transitioned our more traditional summer school model into a STEM summer camp. And we still focus on a lot of those interventions and literacy pieces, and I'm not going to steal any thunder from her, so I'll let Mrs. Bilby speak about the rest. So.
What you're gonna see behind me here, by the way, thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. What you're gonna see behind me are just pictures that we're taking during our first and second session of elementary and our middle school STEM camps this summer. These are just gonna run. I'm not really going to talk to the slides, we're just gonna run them. So, last year administration approached me and asked if I could convert summer school into a camp type, I'm sorry, I'm in the way, into a camp type situation. So I sat down, looked at our standards for the next generation science standards, and tried to apply those to a 4-week program that we ran for our K-5 students for the district. We ran that program at Deke Elementary, and it was a success. It ran from 9 to noon, and the students seemed to really enjoy it, but as a staff, we felt we had a couple of shortcomings with our writing and our reading. So we put a panel together this spring, and we looked at those things. We discussed how we could improve what we were gonna do this year. We feel that we've probably hit on a pretty strong framework to work from. So the students arrive at 9 o'clock in the morning. They have a time where they're going to glean information, they do some research, they do some reading, they have some teacher instruction. Then they go into a math component that's based on the topic of the day. After that, then they have an activity where they'll be, you can see a lot of their activities here. There's programming, there's construction, there's engineering. There's a lot of collaboration going on amongst them. You'll see that in most cases they're working with partners, they're not, or in a small group, they're not working individually. We want them to be collaborating and sharing ideas. We want them to start being able to share and to accept other ideas. After that, we moved down to the cafeteria where we were able to partake of the wonderful summer lunch program. We were able to integrate that into our program this year. And then that was followed by returning back to the classroom where they had about 45 minutes where they received some RTI time, so they got some interventions, they did some reading, some writing, and things of that nature, where they got more independent hands-on from the teachers and the aides that were participating in the camp. At the end of the camp, each week, or each session, oh, by the way, last year's session was 4 weeks. This year's session, we did a 2-week session for a lower L, a 2-week session for upper L, and then we were very fortunate, we were asked to come into the middle school and we ran a 2-week STEM camp for the middle school as well. I'm gonna hand out to you, at the end of each session, we actually give the teachers and the students a survey. And what I'm giving you are their answers so that you can actually understand, and you have their honest answers here. We didn't take out any of the negative stuff. So that you can understand how they feel about what we're doing. And we use this information. We'll meet again this year, and we've already actually started having a lot of conversations about how we can change and adapt the program for next year so that we can grow it and make it bigger. We're looking for those things the students are interested in. Are we hitting important targets based on teachers' responses? Are they enjoying it? Obviously they're engaged, you can see that in the pictures, and you'll also notice it in their responses to the questions. So, I have some of the staff here from the camp if you'd like to ask any questions of the staff. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any students here. I would have loved to have had some students that you could have questioned as well. If you'd like to ask any of our staff members any questions about our program, we'd be more than happy to entertain any questions you have.
Could you introduce some of the staff that came
Yes.
tonight?
I have Amy Lovely. Amy was kind of my right-hand lady. She is our lead SSP at Peak Elementary. She had access to all the information we needed regarding students and their reading levels, where they fell in the RTI program. You have to remember that our program is geared towards Tier 2 and Tier 3 students, and she could have access to that information. She also had access to a lot of books, so she was able to go in, put kids into groups, and then look at what books might apply to those groups. So when teachers were ready to hit that reading component, they had what they needed in their fingertips. We run this through Google Classroom. So we set up a full classroom where teachers are able to go in and collaborate. They can get information. I put a lot of links in. The framework is there for them. What that allows us to do is next year, now we have that framework as preset. Everything that we've added in from this year is there, so we can then build on it for next year. So we'll start building that history so that the program can become bigger and bigger. I'm sorry if I'm a little scattered. I've been up since 4:30. Today was move-in day for my baby at Grand Valley, so I'm a little tired. My brain's not quite wired or anything. So we had Amy Lovely, we had Marty Lehman,
And Kelly Butts.
and Kelly Butts. So, and that's all we have tonight. Questions?
Any questions?
As a teacher, working with these younger children, do you have any experiences that were just truly out there, inspirational, that when you look back, you say, wow, this was a great program. This is a learning experience for you, the teacher. Anything like that? Any experiences or inspirations or
Yeah,
highlights?
it always happens.
I think the way that we have changed the day for the students and what we're looking at is how to attach our standards and attack different things to get the kids engaged. I think what we've done as far as taking it to a STEM base and then incorporating the reading and the writing into it, it made it I think the kids got a lot more out of it. They enjoyed being able to incorporate their reading and writing that met with what we were learning about. Because most of the time what we would do is we would just pick random books to read with them and so forth. But this way they were getting things that went with what they were learning in the STEM related areas. So it was great to watch them, and a lot of them got those aha moments. I did both second and fourth grade, so second grade was a lot of fun to watch them. They got excited about one set of topics, but the fourth graders got excited about other set of topics. So it was very interesting to watch. We've done it, I think, Michelle and Amy, and I know I helped a little bit with it. I think we've really looked at it as far as really trying to hone it down to making it more interesting for the kids and more fun for us too as the teachers to teach. So it was a really great experience, and I appreciate you allowing us to do that with the kids in the summer.
Anybody else have a really cool experience?
I was able to, I know Marty, used to teach summer school at Cyrene as well, so we kinda had the best of both worlds, and we used to do kind of like the typical standard, I always do kindergarten. So like when I came in teaching summer school, it was very much like a very structured kindergarten classroom, and you know, we would do math centers and we do literacy centers, and I'd read a story to them, and that was the day. What I love about STEM camp is, you know, it's very well put together and it's very functional. We can add what we want to add to it as teachers. We can make it, you know, we can adapt it to what we want to do and what we think the kids will have fun with. So that's what I love. We have it all in a Google Docs. We can pick and, you know, we can pick what we want to add to it and adapt it to our students. And I just love it because it's just, you just see them, they're so excited. And I'm a preschool, I've taught preschool for the past 5 years, and I'm gonna be at Gaines this year, so I'm very excited and optimistic about that opportunity. But teaching preschool myself, I always see these kids playing and learning at the same time, and they're having so much fun. And being able to see that in K through 5 in a short amount of time, yes, but they're learning and they're engaged and they're so excited to go back to school the next year because of what they've learned in STEM camp. So I really enjoy teaching it.
Wonderful.
I have one to share too. We moved it to the middle school this year, and Diane Hendricks came on as our teacher. And she was very apprehensive at the beginning because she wasn't that familiar with STEM. And I brought in Pete Taylor and Jessica Joel, who have experience with our STEM camp at the elementary level, to support her. And 2 days in, she said, I had no idea it was gonna be like this. And she started bringing things in to the program and started building and introducing her ideas. And I worked with them 1 week, and by the second week, they didn't need me. She had embraced it, and she was excited, and the kids were doing really, really cool things. I wrote a program for them for a 2-week period, and after the first day, I went home that night, and I threw that off the table, and I wrote a whole new program for them because I could tell that what I had wrote was not gonna be strong enough for them. And it was really exciting to see them take what I brought to the table and to be able, as teachers and staff working together, to grow that, and how excited the kids were. So that was my personal experience.
Well,
So
thank
I'm
you.
excited to build the middle school.
Thank you.
Yes.
Two questions, actually. The first
Yes.
one, can students elect to participate in this, or is it strictly for those that need the traditional summer school kind of catch-up makeup?
That's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked that. So we right now only offer it to our tier 2 and tier 3 students. We have a staffing issue. So we need teachers to facilitate these classes. We have discussed some options for doing that because we get a tremendous amount of aides that respond to us wanting to partake in this, and we don't get that many teachers. So we're gonna look at some new models, and I'm gonna be talking to Rod hopefully here in the next week or two about what those could look like, where we can use a teacher for a large group setting, and then break off using the aides under the direction of the teacher. And then possibly we can open it up to more students, but right now, it's manpower. It's not getting the students. I think we could easily get 250 students. We ran 120, 130 this year. That's up about 40, 45 from last year. So we know we can grow this. I think if we opened it up to the district, it would almost exceed what we're capable of manpower-wise.
We've talked about slowly expanding each year, and that's really what we've done. But our focus is invite only to those kids who need some remediation and just a love of learning, because a lot of what, being able to, manipulate things through that process has just reinvigorated them. But yeah, if we could ever get to the point where multiple buildings were running it, that'd be awesome. We're not there yet.
And then I had another question.
Sure.
Is there any kind of assessment, I mean, obviously there's, survey at the end, but is there any learning assessment done at the end of the camp versus like beginning and end? See you.
That's another good question. So generally in STEM, assessment isn't something written. Assessment is technically done in every activity they do. So for instance, you see them right here, they're building these planes. This is at the middle school. They actually built these balsa airplanes. We didn't tell them what the end result was supposed to be. So they built the planes, they had to wait over the weekend, they dried, we went into the gym and we had them fly them. And then some of them flew and some of them didn't. Okay, now what are we going to do? So they used their research that they had done early on and went back to the drawing board and they started making modifications to those planes. The idea was that the plane would fly in a circular motion up to the gym floor. We had 3 students that were capable of adjusting their plane to do that. That's our assessment. Our assessment is that they were able to reach that end objective and they were able to use the language and to demonstrate the activity. So.
We also assess everyone really early in September, so it's possible that through either the report card or some of the other diagnostics we pull, we could kind of line those kids up and just see how they're doing. The real thing is, are we stopping summer slide or not?
And we're trying to keep that level of learning. And a lot of these kids, they don't do well in a classroom setting, and here they find out that they can be successful. It just gives them that extra boost, so when they go back to school with some confidence.
Is it possible to bring in Kettering students that are available in the summer to work with the students
So
for that short period of time?
That's another good question. I have a contact at Kettering that I've worked with through our Young Innovators program. And last year we started a conversation about partnering up with some of the fraternities and sororities that need some volunteer hours. And we're going to be exploring that further. I want to bring them into the elementary schools to develop our Kettering project across the district. I think that could be a huge showcase for us as a district to be there and whole. Kettering is partnered with Henry Ford Museum last year, and we were able from DEEP to send 9 of our students on to the state level competition in that program. I'd like to see Swartz Creek as a whole going to that competition. It's a wonderful program, and through that, we can meet in with those fraternities and sororities, build that relationship that there's quite possibly we could bring them back in. They need service hours through those organizations, so.
Great.
That is something that I've been considering. Yes.
Number 1, fantastic and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It is
Thank you
amazing.
to the
Thank
teachers.
It's nice to see it growing, and the enthusiasm and passion that you have for all of you is awesome. And I did see that in one of these, that there are paintings, and I understand it may be a manpower issue, as you said. Is there much of a plan to include even more arts to turn it into STEAM, or are you just focused on STEM for now?
So our program's always been STEM in the past. Last year, we actually ran a true STEAM program at Deke Elementary to see what that would look like. I hope to grow that program more and more. Yes, you did see STEAM occurring, and a lot of that STEAM was happening at the middle school. They went from a chemistry lesson right into an art lesson. And that happened. They did an engineering lesson that became an art lesson. So the artwork that you see are results of some other type of lesson, and that's the culmination of it. So yes, that there are a lot of tie-ins. Not all of the standards and the topics tie into STEAM, but there are a lot where if they need to model something as an assessment, so a lot of it's done through modeling, the modeling could happen in the art department. So if they need to build a model to show the life cycle of something, that tie-in could go to the art department. It would open up more time for them while they're in the STEM room then. So, yes,
Great.
something that's being explored.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you
Thanks
very much.
everybody who supported the program. It's really great. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, I think now we're going to move on to SCBA employment. And should I turn it over to you, Rod? or-
Absolutely. Bring everyone else along. All right, let's bring up Mr. Kitchen first.
All right, good evening.
Mr. Kitchen, who would you like to start with?
Well, I'm gonna start, I would like to first start to reiterate that great experience that we've had so far when we met together for our opportunity to get away, get focused. I tell you, I was up on that top beam and I was scared and I had no intention of walking across that beam. Ben came up by me and said, Jim, you're gonna be mad at yourself if you don't do this. Do you want me to go with you? And I thought, man, from these three, with Kevin with communication and Rod with systems and Ben with instructional focus, they are pushing us to do more than we ever have, but they're right there with us. So I want to make sure I'll say that to you guys. It's been an awesome experience. I'm going to start with Rachel Stevens. Would you please come on up here so I can introduce you to the board? We are privileged to be presenting some experience to you this evening, and we have MSU and some U of M going on here. So we're going to start with MSU. Rachel attended MSU and she served 5 years as a band teacher in Carrollton schools and in Warren schools. And she established a jazz band program there. She has experience recruiting and building in grades 6 through 12, starting with 5th graders. So she's a builder, and we love that about her. She has some great ideas. In the spring, we're going to be presenting some ideas about world music. She plays ukulele, and so we're hoping to get some students with ukuleles in their hand. And she went through an intensive interview process where she actually had to come in without seeing music and teach a sight lesson to a group of our students. And then at the end, we went to our students and we asked them, we got feedback from them. And we were very excited that our interview team and our students recommended this young lady to be our new band person and also choir. She comes with band experience. We're going to help her to really grow under the mentorship of Jared Luke to be a great choir teacher. So for your consideration, I give you Rachel Stevens.
Thank you, I'm excited to be here.
Anything else you'd like to tell us about yourself?
You know, one of the neat things about band is, even though, you know, I'm just before you tonight, I've already gotten to start working with the students, and they're just such great kids here. So I really am excited to keep going, you know, and keep getting to know and work with these kids.
And I just discovered Rachel was in the Michigan State Marching Band with my daughter.
Yes.
So- And she does remember you.
Fondly.
Yes, she does. So, thank you for that. So with that, I would entertain a motion.
So moved. Support.
Mike and Tony? All right. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the employment of Rachel Stevens as a music band teacher at the high school and middle school for the 2019-2020 school year as presented. And any comments or questions? Would you do a roll call for us, please?
Alicia?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
I was expecting a 2-minute performance.
Oh.
But I'm gonna vote yes.
Mike?
Yes.
That's 7 yeses.
Yes. Congratulations and welcome.
Welcome aboard, official.
Congratulations, welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck, Rachel.
Thank you.
What did you play?
Trumpet.
You won't hold it against you.
You still play, don't you? You're in a band currently, right?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
And now at U of M, I'd like to invite Joe also up here. He has a very unique background. He comes highly recommended by staff members in our district. Unanimous decision with our interview team. He got his degree from U of M Flint. He served 12 years at St. John's Alternative School and St. John's Public. So he has a heart for students and a heart for struggling students. We think he's really going to make an impact on our team. Now, another unique thing is that he is certified in social studies, psychology, earth science, and LD, learning disabilities. So very much has a utility background to be able to be used in multiple capacities. I give for your consideration, his mentor is going to be Mr. Nick Bierman, so he's going to be on fire with that. And I give you Joe Lawrence for your consideration for hire.
Thank you.
I'm very, very honored, excited to obviously get started. There's a lot that I know I need to dig in and get involved with, and so I'm from the community, so getting the opportunity to teach psychology, be in the community is like I said, it's just got me almost speechless in the sense that I can't wait to start. I'm just super anxious, so thanks for the opportunity.
Thank
You live here in Creek?
Yes, I do.
Oh, good.
Okay, with
So
that, I'd
you travel to St. John's every day to that school?
I did.
And just for the last, that's where you've been 12 years?
Yeah, my first year prior to that, my wife and I taught in Somerville, South Carolina, so
Oh, wow.
because we needed to have that first year
long drive.
experience. So.
Good,
Yeah, that's right. But, yeah,
Perfect.
so.
okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Brian, Tony, any comments or questions? Joanne?
Jessica?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And Alicia?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It sounds pretty unanimous to
7.
me. Congratulations and welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations, appreciate it.
Congratulations.
All right, next I would like to bring up our Gaines Elementary Principal and MTSS Coordinator, Katie Freer, who's going to introduce a hire at Gaines Elementary.
Good evening. We have, for your consideration, Kelly Butts. Kelly actually comes to us from our Little Dragons Learning Center. She was the paid preschool tuition teacher last year. She comes with a background of early childhood and early childhood special education, a music background, a science background. So she is going to fit nicely into that elective spot, filling that role of PE, music, art, teach in that ag in the classroom that we are taking care of. So we are very excited to have her. We have been doing a lot of planning and preparation for the students, and so you should see the space. It looks great. Just really, really I'm just so excited to have her. So she lives here in the village, and she has a 3-year-old son. I have a 3-year-old daughter, and they're going to be best friends. So, for your consideration, Kelly Butts.
Yes, I'm very excited to be working still in my district. My husband works for Flushing, so it's kind of we're kind of like rivalries at home. My husband's Tyler Butts, so I think he is familiar with. Yes, he was like telling me your name right before I came. He was like, I grew up with her
All these
kids. So,
kids.
yeah, so I'm married to Tyler Butts, and this has always been our home. We live in Swartz Creek, right here in the village. And I've, like, Ms. Perrin has said, I've taught preschool for 5 years. I love teaching the little ones, but I'm definitely optimistic, so excited to teach art. I love art and very arts and crafty. But I also love the sciences, because that's what my husband teaches, is science. So very excited to be doing gym twice a week, get myself into some shape here, and I'm so used to chasing around little ones anyway, so it shouldn't be too much of a difference. I'm just very optimistic, very excited to teach all grade levels. I always, said I loved teaching preschool, but I also teach summer school, and it gives me that thrive of like, okay, I want more. I want to teach K through 5, and I want to do something more with myself. So I'm very excited for this new chapter and challenge in my career. So it's very nice to meet everyone, and honored to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, I would entertain a motion. So moved. Alicia?
Support.
Tony? All right, this time I will actually read the motion. I apologize to Mr. Lawrence. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the employment of Kelly Butts as a first grade teacher at Gaines Elementary for the 2019-2020 school year as presented. Any comments or questions?
It's not just
That's
first
not-
grade.
It's what it says on here,
Okay.
first grade, first grade,
first grade.
right?
Just all the electives for K through 9 at Gaines.
Correct that, okay, okay. Any comments or questions? Okay, Joanne?
Alright, Mike,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Alicia,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
and Brian.
Yes.
7 yeses.
Welcome.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Tell Tyler hi.
I will. I told him to come, but my 3-year-old would have been a little obnoxious. Thank you.
All right, I would like to bring up Christy Beckwith to the stage. We've had a great opportunity to interview a lot of elementary teachers this year. Mr. Bouchon and I did some screening, and then we had a big committee with principals and Christy Moore and one of our instructional coaches, Becky Trent, and we found some amazing people. Christy is a lifelong Creeker. She is a U of M Flint graduate. She also has a ZA, which is an early childhood endorsement. She comes with a great passion for learning, and she has been doing a variety of things in Swartz Creek. She did some MTSS work and worked at Morrish for a year or two. 1 year. And then did long-term sub at Cyrene in 4th grade classroom, and had a tremendous experience. So as Ben said earlier today, as we've had to expand kindergarten, we're pretty excited to be able to bring Christy on board in a different capacity this year, officially as a SCEA teacher. So I present to you for your approval, Christy Beckwith.
Thank you for having me here. I'm super excited to get started. I just found out today that I got this job, so I have a lot ahead of me. I haven't set up a classroom, so the next couple days and tomorrow I'm in a meeting all day long, so I'm like, okay, now how am I gonna really do all this in a few days? But it'll get done. I know I will get it done. But I did do a one-on-one aid with an EI student, and I learned so much during that 1 year at Morrish. I did that too. So that was another thing I learned, how to handle those kind of kids and deal with them and really get them through some struggles. I've lived in Swartz Creek all my life. I have 5 kids that go to school here. Well, actually I have 4 now because I just sent my oldest son to Grand Valley today. I just sent him off. So it's been a really up and down day for me. So I just want to thank you for this opportunity, and I can't wait to get started here at Swartz Creek.
Thank you very much. With that, I would entertain a motion.
So, support.
Tony,
One or the other,
Jessica.
please.
All right.
Get out of the way.
Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the employment of Christy Beckwith as a kindergarten teacher at Deke Elementary for the 2019-2020 school year as presented. Miss Joanne?
Brian,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes, are we doing, I'm sorry, we're going to Cyrene or D?
She's at D.
D.
Okay.
Her experience with it, sorry.
Okay, got it. Yes, obviously, just clarify. Good luck. Either one, you'll do a great job.
Thank you.
Doesn't
Carrie?
matter.
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Alicia,
Yes.
and Mike.
Yes.
Okay.
7 yeses.
Welcome and
Thank you
congratulations.
so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
What an exciting day for you.
Yes, it's been crazy. A little too much all at
Yes.
once.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Well, and then my son's car wouldn't start this morning either.
Oh, no.
So we had to go, it was a battery, just the battery, so, like I said, it was like this all day.
It's gonna get better.
Sending on 100, yeah.
Okay.
And next, I want to bring up Miley Mack. Miley Mack comes to us highly recommended. She is a social worker, and she has her master's in social work from Michigan State University. She has a variety of great leadership experiences. She has been a social worker at Elmer Off facility at the GISD. At an academy, she has been a behavior supports coordinator, as well as more social work experience. She's also been a social worker in the medical field. She has strong relationship skills, and we're pretty excited to add her to our social work staff here at Swartz Creek. And she will spend 4 days at Moorish and 1 day at Deek. You want to present for your consideration, Miley?
I'm so grateful to be here. I'm excited for this opportunity and really looking forward to growing Swartz here.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. With that, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Alicia? Tony? Brian? You sound alike sometimes. Okay. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the employment of Miley Mack as a social worker at Deek Moorish Elementary for the 2019-2020 school year as presented. Any comments or questions? If not, Joanne? Mike?
Yes.
Did you have a question?
I was gonna make a comment.
Oh, surely.
Somebody didn't check her criminal background.
Yes, we will make sure.
I'm sure it's a tape.
I think someone did check the box.
Carrie?
Yes.
Alicia?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes, of course.
Jessica?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And Tony?
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay, welcome and congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Did you?
All right, so we are going to take a 5-minute recess, and that will allow our guests, our new additions. I want to congratulate Kelly, Rachel, Joe, Miley, Christy. Hopefully we'll be seeing more of you. And thanks to all the folks that interviewed them and brought them to us. And good luck this year
They're all gonna be
and many
good
more
additions.
years to come.
Yep, I'll
But
be-
you may leave if you'd like.
No running. Should I tell them they need to walk in Marsh with?
And I'll say, we're not working at March. Well, one is.
How's your grandson?
He's doing better.
Okay.
He's starting to,
Yeah, so he's
eat a
home?
little bit more, oh yeah, he's starting to eat a little bit more and stuff like that. You know, get back to normal. Am I right?
Great, thanks. Have you had a nice summer? Did you go, where'd you go? Where'd you go?
We circled all 2,200 miles.
Beautiful. Motorcycle or?
Cycle.
I don't know.
Trail.
Nice.
Can't go to it.
Oh my God.
Oh, how many different places did you stay?
All right.
We did a game for
I feel you, Mama.
Actually, this year was one of the times I love it. And I think it's because I went away to school, so I know what he's experiencing and going through right now, and I'm excited more than I expected.
Thank you so much. We just got I moved in person on my phone. Which is fine. He was like, well, wait, we're doing stuff. Yeah, you gotta get your card back.
Okay, so we're talking at the last board meeting about what we were, my daughter, where she went to school.
Yeah.
Things like that. I'm actually really like waiting for she's gonna, yeah, she's gonna, I don't know where she's got so bad.
I'm like, definitely go.
Guys, thanks for waiting.
But I just want 4 first graders in a class, and then I might.
And
go
they don't,
five.
and I don't get anything.
Oh, it doesn't function.
I know.
Just one
Wow.
Because her class is all first. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I wanted to say yes.
Whatever you need.
You know what?
And congratulations.
Thank you so much.
How are you?
Yeah, it's right next to
There,
it.
okay, let's finish this up.
The other, is there just me and my wife?
Congratulations. Maybe it is.
Two words or whatever. You got one of my kids. Only one. My other one's going.
That's great.
I'm glad you were able to come back. Yeah, my oldest was a Roger. He's now gone, but still playing. So,
Alright, do anything fun or exciting?
how was yours?
Where?
Well, I'm glad I told you the question.
Bye, Brian.
Bye.
I hope she's
My
excited.
appointment was
First grade, because
and I actually had a question when you
Very nice. That makes a big difference when she wants to be there.
she'll take a nap and I've been doing it for 40-minute drive. I was like, you'll be fine, you'll be good. So I mean, my more seriously, you're running around there, like you're saying, so.
She just recently said that today, but
You went to small space. I kind of spanned a bunch of the years. 2001
and they were going to move. They'll help Jim get the job over there where he's going, and he loves to fish, so there were coho, and salmon are, were they the same or they different?
They're not so overwhelmed with.
Yeah, that is awesome.
We were all bobbing, and we were all jigging, and he had to.
It's right.
He got one of those
Yeah. Did you keep it? Oh, yeah. Oh, good. Oh, that's it.
Right.
We caught it. Hey, of course, taking these with us?
I tried all these.
Are you from Walcott? E&L, so they're your management partners?
We're joint venture, so we're.
You live here?
I'm actually from about an hour and a half. I'm not about an hour and a half.
Okay, all right, you got it, okay.
Email.
What did you guys do?
That'll be great. Yeah, have you always been into fishing, or is this
My
right?
dad took us fishing.
Contract for the. Been working with the district for over a year, probably. Bond estimates and.
For my 50th.
You know, but basically, you know, it's gonna do the
Aw,
on-site
cool.
working
I'm
with
getting you a pair of
the
wings
process.
for your 50th birthday.
I'm gonna ask you a lot of questions.
Yes, sir.
Do you know these companies, you interview them at your there a rap sheet that you need to fill out, like an official sheet? You say, hey, listen.
We do post-it interviews with everybody.
Do you really? Put your trailer away or are you going out again? No, we're done. We got home
Yeah.
Saturday.
Between us, you know, we
afternoon.
pretty much everybody.
We unpacked our clothes, unpacked the food and anything that could melt. You know, sweets or whatever. Sunday we're going to mow grass, we had to do laundry. And then we went back to work.
He's already started.
No, because they need and I don't, just for
Board approved the contract.
because she doesn't get home, we won't get home at 4, by the time we leave at 6. No. We'd like to, it's just.
It's on there, Chuck, believe me, it's on there, we didn't. This contract is partnership with E&L. Ben, do you remember when, the contract was approved with Walgas and E&L?
It would have been probably in January, I would guess.
That's what I was thinking.
When it was approved, meaning what?
When the board approved it.
Oh, the board didn't approve it.
Okay.
It was it's a service. We had a conversation in open session with them. So.
That's no problem. Okay.
That was when I had asked it, when I was in a conversation with Trun Law.
What did Truan say?
Yes, I will put you on.
Trun said it's a, you don't need board
That's
action.
fine, I don't.
How much are we paying them?
So-
How much have you guys been paid so far?
Anything else? You were coming over, I thought, oh, did I do something? Or did I
Contract
not do
for-
something?
Construction manager is $2 million.
Construction job.
Oh, that is.
We just hired teachers, how do we hire a construction guy without board approval?
Are we ready to go back?
Okay.
The attorney said it was necessary. And I remember the discussion.
We hired a teacher for 30 grand, how do you hire somebody for 50 grand without board approval? You tell me, I wanna know. That's a question I'm gonna ask.
Are we good?
Yep.
Rod, are we okay? Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Great job bringing those folks to the table. Amazing hires for our students.
Thank you, all great.
Okay, now, moving on, we have the bond project update.
All right, so I want to talk through just a couple items we had. There's obviously been a lot of conversations around the bond, and I want to try and explain a little bit about where we've been at. I have a communication that I'm looking to get out that I will make sure that you all have as well this week, which is basically an update about the progress. So earlier this year, we went out trying to go out to get bids for starting construction early. The advice from our construction management firm was it's a little quick to get out there. There's a lot of work, it's saturated market. We wanted to try and get ahead of it and still get some bids out there to see what we could do. Much to our disappointment, as they had advised us, the bids came in significantly higher than what we had projected. And so, as a result, we determined at a board meeting not to approve contracts for those bids, not to award those bids. And we made it clear that we were going to try and go back to the drawing board, repackage everything, and then go back out to bid. So we went back out to bid in July. At that time, we actually had an opportunity to receive bids on August 13th, which was last week. And we're very, very excited about the fact that the prices for the bids came in under our projected cost. And so we were able to accomplish our goal, which is to get the work done under budget in a timely fashion. So we were excited about that. So tonight, we have before you several items as they pertain to our elementary school renovations. I will just kind of walk you through a little bit of the process, and I have some time for some discussion. One thing I'd like to say is that you have included in your board packets, and I sent these out to you digitally as well. You have all of the bids for each division for each project. We are not asking you to award all of the projects tonight. we're asking you to award the projects that have had post-bid interviews completed by our construction managers, because we obviously need to make sure that our site work and concrete and those types of things get done before, say, glazing or drywall, those types of contractors. So as those contractors get interviewed by our construction managers, there'll be more, probably at our next month's meeting, that we're gonna be asking you to consider. So I wanna go through the bid specifically, and if you'll notice, and I'll just kind of draw your attention to the front cover letter. So I'll start with the middle school fire alarm, which is right there. It has the it was sent to, addressed to me from the construction managers. And essentially, this cover letter will outline anything that would have come up in the post-bid interviews. So if they interviewed a contractor that maybe didn't have enough support or enough manpower to get the job done, if they interviewed a contractor that maybe wasn't bonded or have the appropriate insurances, they would have been able to identify that there. If you look on the second page, we're gonna go back to that in a second, so skip that. Go to the third page. On the third page, what you're gonna notice is a list of the 8 contractors who bid the middle school fire alarm project, okay? You'll notice a couple columns there. The first gray column is the base bid. The second column is the bond. The bond is the insurance that contractor is required to carry in order to actually bid on these jobs, okay? And so basically what that's saying is in order to be bonded, you have to have meet certain requirements to be insured to do a job this size. So some people might be wondering, well, you know, my uncle that lives next door is a handyman and he would have liked to have done some of this work. Why didn't he get a chance to bid on it? The answer is quite simply that the magnitude of the jobs that we're doing here require companies that meet a certain threshold of size and capacity. So from there you'll notice all of the bidders and what they bid for the project. The total bid price of the low bidder is Ted's Electric Service at $108,950. And so from there, our construction managers go out and they interview our prospective low bids, and they have to conduct a very extensive process of, are they actually able to perform the work? They get references. They check on whether or not that contractor is bonded, if they have met all the assurances by law. And so our construction managers, and particularly on this part of the project, Woolgas is doing the work of really ensuring that the people that they're going to recommend to the board are in fact able to get the work done. In most cases, obviously, provided that it's the company is reputable and has the appropriate amount of opportunity to get the job done, we will try to obviously award the lowest bidder in most cases. And that certainly was the recommendation from Woolgas tonight. So you'll look on the middle school fire alarm system, and you'll see that there is a bid there for $108,950, and that is their recommendation. So that will show up in your packet. So in just a little bit, before we conclude our conversation about this, I am going to walk us through how we really need to approve these tonight. It's going to be a little bit laborious, but this is our first package, and we want to make sure that we're doing it correctly. At our steering committee today, we discussed some concerns that we had with some of the bid packages. We discussed the fact that there's an EMR rating, and I'm going to ask for some clarification on this from our construction team. But an EMR rating is essentially a rating that's assigned to a contractor based on their workman's comp claim history. And so what we were looking at is, you know, maybe in the future we'd like to see that number. So, you know, if there's a company that might have particular history with accidents and things like that. Mr. Ahern also asked some specific questions about safety and making sure that there's going to be a safety team that's overseeing all the contractors. And we did get assurance on that. A further concern that we had with some of these bids, we were very excited about the fact that we had bids that came in at a good price point. The concern was that in a couple of the bid divisions we didn't get a lot of bid activities. And so we discussed at our steering committee today the process for which the bids go out, and they do outline them here. But there are essentially a multitude of listservs that contractors subscribe to when they're doing this level of work. Virtually all contractors in Michigan have access to these sites. We also post them locally, and so the potential for thousands of contractors to see these bids went out there. The issue is that in a lot of cases, either the jobs are too small or too large for certain contractors. In addition to that, the market right now is flooded. There are people who are just completely booked out for 6, 8, 10, 12, 18 months to do jobs. And so what we're seeing is a trend where we have fewer and fewer contractors to do the work, and so obviously that's going to lead to lower participation in the bids. So we felt comfortable after our discussion at steering committee to move forward with the recommendations from the construction managers. But before we get into a kind of a conversation about that and some Q&A, I'd like to introduce Jim Benton. Jim is one of the project leads. He's a project manager for Wolgast. Some of you have met Steve Salyers at previous meetings when we were talking with Wolgast. Jim works more boots on the ground with trying to put the packages together. And so I thought I would ask Jim to just kind of share a little bit about the process, be able to answer some questions you might have, and also maybe just describe his experience and his maybe recommendations that his organization made tonight on these packages. So Jim?
Ben did a pretty good job covering everything, so, but as far as the process goes, the market, as Ben said, has been really tough lately, so we actually put it out to 11 plan rooms, which is like Builders Exchange, and they had members, which the bulk of the contractors in the state will belong to a Builders Exchange. We also sent to CNC News, Construction Connect, CAM, Big Clerk, Reconstruction Data, so pretty much all the plan rooms in the state, we send these documents out. They notify their members through emails that there's a new project out for bids and the contractor can go to their site. It's also posted on the SIGMA, the state website, which is required to be posted on there for 2 weeks prior to bids. Like Ben said, the local paper, and then we also we keep a list of contractors that we've worked with in the past, or contractors in the areas. So we also send out advertisements to bid directly to hundreds of contractors to try and get the most participation that we can. But as Ben said, we did have 3 packages that had one bidder that turned out. So we discussed that at the steering committee meeting earlier. We did receive 142 bids on the project, which was, I thought, exceptional for the current market. Back in February when we did it originally, we really struggled. We were begging for contractors to bid just because there is so much work out there. So bidding it out this time of year, contractors are starting to look for work for this fall and the following year. So February when it's bid out before, contractors were mostly full by then and had all their summer work and their trades booked at that time. So I guess, anybody have any questions?
Sounds like you went through a lot. So you have a good choice.
Extensive process.
Yeah.
I would say it's
How long have you been doing this for, sir?
about 24 years.
Good. And as Mike said, the safety committee, if somebody gets hurt on a job, who's responsible? Is it the school, or is it the construction company, or the bond that's posted by them? So if somebody slips and falls and gets hurt on school property, help me out with that, who's gonna cover that, you think?
Well, anybody gets hurt on a job, there's my OSHA investigation.
Right.
If there's anything serious, and it'll be determined. I mean, it can be the contractor's negligence.
Right.
Typically, that's where it ends up, is with a contractor. It would not come back to the school, protected from that.
Alicia, you had a question?
I have a question more when it gets into the specifics, so I don't know if this is the time or
Yeah, I
not.
think now's a good time. So you've had an opportunity to receive these, and I'll explain the process of how we will have to go about voting on them. But I think if there are questions about specifics on the contractors, there are 5 packages here: middle school fire alarm, Elms, Deep, Cyrene, and Moorish. Okay, and so we're going to be voting 5 times. There's 5 kind of groups. So within any of those groups and anything that you saw, now would be a great time. Jim has actually interviewed the contractors for these jobs.
We go, yeah, and we go through, like Ben said, we also review, part of our portion of the project, we get the documents from the architect, and then we divide the technical specifications and the drawings up into packages, you know, concrete, structural steel, so we separate them out into bid divisions. So part of our post-bid interview, we have specific bid division descriptions for each trade to bid on, and so we go through and verify that they didn't include a complete scope. One of the items that you'll see on here as we go through this is the low bidder for the concrete package was Jake Perez. They contacted us the day afterwards. There were two sets of bid documents, or two sets of drawings for each project, because the skier vestibules, as Ben mentioned, were designed and bid out back in February. They'd already been submitted to the state, so there was that set of drawings, and then the drawings for the rest of the renovation work that was added onto it. So there's some confusion on that, so Jay Perez did call me and said they missed a portion of the project in their bid, which was evident from their price, and so they withdrew their bid on that. But we do have roughly five more packages for each project to do the post-bid interviews on. We're trying to get these in early so we can get through the shop contract issuance and shop drawings and approvals. So when the state or the city, or well, actually both for each project, get us approved with building permits, that we have at least the starting contractors on board so we can break ground and get working right away.
I have a quick question. So like for Moorish, I see with all the contractors, all the boxes are checked for addendum 2 except for the site work, Champagne and Marks Excavating. That last one, addendum 2, is not check marked, so should we expect a change on that? Do they not have to do anything with addendum 2, or?
Addendum 2 did not apply to their work.
Okay.
Thank you. So with regard to a partial, that means it's just a group of construction companies, various purposes?
Right, this is a partial, it's just for
Okay.
concrete, masonry, steel.
Just so
mechanical,
we all
electrical,
understand
site.
the use of
Yeah.
the word partial and when I'm
Yeah,
reading
so-
it, that people will understand.
Yeah, so between now and, like I said, we just took bids last Tuesday, so by the time we get through them, have a chance to post bids, this is what we needed to get for tonight. We'll, between now and the September 8th board meeting, we'll complete them, so we'll have roofing, glass and glazing, carpentry package, paint, flooring.
So that's not included in these prices?
Correct.
Okay, now just real quick, let me back up if I can have the floor for a second. On these prices, when we got the bids in February, and we were considerably higher, and I think it was your recommendation and Ben's and the board's determination to wait, are these all the same? Because we're saying, oh my God, these prices are lower, but are we really bidding the same thing that we're bidding today than what we did in February? Because I could say the price is lower, I'm just asking, you know, are we bidding the same?
Well, what we bid in February was the secure entrance and office edition for Deep Morse and Elms.
Okay.
So that is exactly the same. And since basically what happened back in February, we came in at about $460 a square foot, which was
Correct,
way
yeah,
high.
yeah.
So we didn't recommend, so that set of documents stayed exactly the same. That had already been submitted to the state of Michigan for plan review.
Right.
So then the discussion was, in order to make these jobs more appealing to the bidders, so we can get more bids, get better pricing, more work. We packaged, NJB went through and they finished the design for the renovation portion and also the makerspace edition for each one of these elementary schools. So those were packaged into a group. So what was bid out in February is exactly what was bid out again this time with additional work on top of it.
So your question, I think I know what you're asking. Your question is, what we bid out in February and what we bid out today, are they apples to apples? And the answer is no. We bid out the secure vestibules, we did bid that out again, that's a set of drawings, but we added in all of the renovation and everything else. So when if you're trying to compare, you can't really compare because a lot of this stuff wasn't even designed back in February when we went out. We were trying to get something out so we could get those vestibules built starting in April, which obviously they came in so high because they were smaller jobs. So when we put all these things in, that's what drove more contractor activity and more interest, and prices per square foot came down.
And it was $460 per square foot.
That's roughly what it came
Yeah.
in.
What's it
in
coming out
February.
to now with the additional work? That can compare it, if I can know it, like if say we're doing more square foot, Chuck, and it came down to $300 a square foot, or $250. Does that kinda make sense where I'm going with it?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
It's a little tougher when you
Okay.
mix in the renovation. Additions, you can work off the square footage. Renovations, everything's a little bit different, so there's really no set cost per square foot to renovate, because it depends what you're doing inside the building. So, with the renovation mixed in, it would skew the numbers.
We had, typically in the spaces that we had when we went to the state, the state allows a maximum, and we talked about this at a board meeting a few months ago. The maximum the state allow would be a $200 allocation per square foot.
Right.
And so when we looked at projecting out for what should it cost, we used that $200 amount quite a bit. And so it's not comparing apples to apples, so I don't wanna put a number, I don't have the number to share, we can find that. But I can tell you that we're below that number and what we thought we were gonna be paying.
I just wanna put it out to the public that we're saving all this money, but we're really doing other stuff or less stuff. And that's why I wanted to know if it was an apple-to-apple comparison, because I know it looks good that we're saving all this money, that's great. And I appreciate the hard work, but
But
you
it
know, what-
sounds like you added additional work to make it more attractive, maybe efficient for the folks that were bidding.
So,
Correct.
Yeah, that's
That's
absolutely
correct?
true.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can I
that is
ask-
absolutely true.
to what you're saying, is it that the scope of work that we asked for to be bid previously, nothing from that was diminished, we have only
Correct.
added to, we haven't omitted anything from the previous
No,
scope of work.
nothing was cut from what was bid in
Right.
February to get it under budget.
So that, I think in a way, Chuck, is that what you were asking at one point?
That,
To make
because
sure there
we
wasn't
were
an
at-
additional
right.
cost that we left something out.
Did we
and
were
that's
at
why it was
1.8 million,
reduced.
weren't we before?
Yeah.
Wasn't it about 1.8 million total?
5.
Yeah.
Just under 1.5.
And what are we total now with all these projects, roughly? Just the 5 projects, you got the middle school and the 4 elementaries.
I think,
Just under
Can-
10 million roughly right now.
yeah, right around 10 million, when we'll know, we'll be able to make that more exact next month after we get through, because we're gonna
Rough numbers.
potentially lose, but we're about 10 million right now.
So we're spending 10% of our money, no, at $50 million total, we're spending, 10% would be 5 million, 20% of our money. Just with these projects, at $10 million, so we're spending 20% of our money. How much percentage of the jobs are we getting done? Do you know that as a construction manager? Roughly.
Well, we're to the good, I mean.
Okay,
this
we're
is-
good, you okay?
Yeah, we're definitely under budget.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we went through the bond budget.
Just comparing what we're getting done for work, what we're getting done for money, and we're gonna run out, so. okay.
No, we had a really good day on bid day.
Good, good.
What I will say, so obviously that 200 square foot projection that gets put into the document, back in the fall when it was 400 whatever,
Right.
it came in so significantly higher than what we thought they were gonna come in. Obviously, this is much more money because you're adding in so much more work, but that's
right.
also what drove that cost down. So it would be a good figure to get though, to say what is the percentage of the project, and I think we could probably come up with that.
I mean, we should all know that as a board before we spend $10 million. I mean, I'm all for it, I'm great that we got the thing, but if we say, hey, it's only 13% of our projects, of course, some of the projects may be less money, I get it, but I don't know how else to gauge it. If we spend $10 million and say, yeah, go.
Yeah, like I say, we can answer your question more precisely next month board meeting.
Thank you.
But I will say that we are under budget.
And Alicia had a question.
So this is like Japanese to me, I'll just be honest. I can do Band-Aids, I can't do walls and studs, but, in looking at the 4 elementaries, and it's just, I need information. I don't know if it's that Cyrene is different in some way, or in their structure, or what needs to be done there. But like, these 3 packages look identical with contractors, and then I was kind of surprised to see that it's a different list for one elementary school.
Deep Marsh and Elms are almost identical projects, they're almost identical buildings.
Deep
So-
Marsh Elms, okay.
Yeah, so
Yep.
the contractors you'll see on those pretty much go across, where
Right.
was low on one was pretty much low on all of them.
Okay.
Siring is slightly different, as far as the additions and some of the renovation work to create the office space and stuff, so
Okay.
those numbers are a little bit different than what you see at the other three.
I guess I was kind of surprised that like some of these maybe wouldn't have bent a little, even if it is different work or more work or whatever, but, I mean, do you foresee any issue having kind of a different group of people working on that one,
No.
separate from the others?
No, actually, that's not all bad, because there is some concerns about contractors getting too much work. I mean,
Yeah.
ideally, I mean, on our end, it would be a lot simpler, because we'd have one group of contracts to manage instead of, or contractors instead of different contractors. But for the district and also on our benefit is, we gotta watch during this process, because we do have the middle school, the high school, and the stadium coming out for bids, that a contractor doesn't take on too much work, because.
Cause that was gonna be my follow-up, I
there's-
actually was looking for that kind of
Right,
answer.
there's a serious lack of trades out there right now, people
Yeah.
just can't get them. This has actually been one of the worst summers I've had for being in a staff project, so we're very conscious of that right now. And that's a big part of our discussion when we do our post bids, because we don't wanna give somebody too much, so if somebody didn't get all 5, that's not bad.
Cause that was my actually follow-up to that would be, is this good, that we've got
Yeah.
somebody separate? And then, are we gonna have 3 individual elementary schools that have to be done individually because the group can only work in one place? Or do they
Well,
truly have a capacity to do all
Yeah,
3
fortunately, we've got
simultaneous?
some good-sized contractors here, and the big packages are like mechanic for the renovation work, is mechanical, electrical, these are good-sized contractors, they're union, and so they have a additional labor force to draw from. Same with masons, so, like I said, schoolwork is a struggle anymore, the summers get shorter and shorter, and there's a lot of work to fit in there, so it's always tight. I mean, we never have a job where we finish 2 weeks early on a school project for a summer work program, so they're always right down to the wire, but we definitely monitor that, particularly with the larger portions of the project that are coming up as well, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You're gonna be on the contractors, right, to make sure they get it done. They
Right.
didn't bite off more than what they can chew. I know they're big contractors, but they just say, hey, we're gonna get all these jobs now, so.
Yeah, and it's,
Is there a deadline that they have, Jim, that you say, hey, listen, once you start this project, normally we'd like it done by November
we-
31st? Did you give them some
we
timeline?
issue a bid schedule.
Okay, you did issue that?
The starting date on the bid schedule is
I didn't see
somewhat
that.
tentative,
Yeah.
based on the state or city approvals for
Right, right,
everyone to
right.
get a plan review, or permit, but, yeah, and the summer works obviously.
Right. Did you give them a day notice on this then, so if you start on October 1st, you have 60 days to finish it, or?
We have durations on
Okay,
each.
all right, I don't have the individual contracts for it, good,
Yeah.
perfect, I didn't see it, but that's perfect, good.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
All right, yeah, I'd like to just kind of go through the voting process on this. So, as I said before, we're gonna have 5 packages. So, I'll just take Moorish, which is a good example. We already talked about it, but again, there's 6 contractors that we're approving for this package. There will be another 6 likely next month after the post-bid interviews are conducted by Wolgast. So the reality is, when we say partial, what we're saying is that for the whole entirety of Moorish, we're going to start by approving the contractors that need to get started come next month, okay? So when we actually vote, I'm just gonna be talking through the logistics. Carrie's gonna read the resolution, talking about be it resolved Swartz Creek Community Schools, and we're gonna take Moorish Elementary School, and then she will actually read the recommended contractor and the amount, okay, so for each division. So she's gonna read for concrete, masonry, metals, mechanical, electrical, and the number. And then the last thing she's gonna read is the total package bid award, which is, in this case, $1.7 million. She'll say the exact amount, and that's as presented. Then we have to go into a roll call vote and approve each package as a group. Okay, so does anybody have any questions on the logistics of that, or?
We still have to do the fire alarm separate too, right?
And the fire alarm will be separate, yep. And Gaines Elementary will come next month because they didn't have any additions, so there's no foundation work or things like that to be done on that project, so.
Do you wanna have discussion on each one? So do you wanna vote on like, the middle school right now for their fire alarm system? And then if anybody has any more specific questions, I can ask them per bid.
That would be a good idea.
I think that you need to do that just so somebody has it instead of.
Yeah.
doing one discussion, you almost gotta do it on each proposal, I think, before you move forward.
I think that's a good process. So, when you're ready, we can move into the board action items.
Yes. All right, so, staying in order?
I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
so MASB 2019 Delegate Assembly. Many of you are familiar with our opportunity to send folks to the MASB conference, and we need a delegate and an alternate. Brian, were you the delegate last year?
He was.
Who was our alternate?
I was.
Jessica. Would you be interested in doing it again, or?
Chuck's sitting here
No.
telling me how
Allow me
interesting.
No, I am not. I said.
I see your finger up,
I would
isn't that
say
you
I would
say
go
that?
if he went. That's all I
Yes.
said, I'm gonna go
You
with.
claiming it, Chuck?
I'd rather go with you, but I'll go with you. You're much prettier to
Brian?
look
So,
at.
Yes,
do
I'll-
I hear Brian is interested in serving as a delegate. Jessica, would you be interested as being an alternate again? Anybody
Unless
who
Chuck
wants to
be
do
the
it?
alternate.
No,
You
I
can
may
try
just
that
end up
part out,
going
Chuck.
anyways, I'll go on my own
It's a
dime.
good
You can go.
conference.
You can
Yeah,
serve.
I'll go on my own dime, I don't care.
All right.
I'll go sit with you guys.
So I would entertain a motion for a delegate and an alternate.
So moved.
Oh, great.
You need the motion?
So
Aye.
delegate, no?
Motion to appoint Brian as our delegate and Jessica as our alternate to the MASB Delegate Assembly for 2019.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mike? Any comments or questions? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Jessica. Represent us well. All right, this next is the Swartz Creek High School music course approval that we talked about earlier. Very exciting, jazz band and stage band where the students can actually get credit. And they're proposing it be a 0 hour or a 7th hour, whichever.
Yeah,
we
whatever
don't know
fits in
yet.
their
Yeah.
schedule.
Anything else
Just
you need to
the
share?
approval allows the course to be run. We haven't run jazz band officially as a part of a student's schedule for credit. And so anytime we offer a 4-credit class, that requires board approval. And so this class would be a great opportunity to expand our music program. And of course, it will run as long as we have student interest to participate.
And I think somebody mentioned that Rachel, our new music and band teacher, is experienced in jazz,
Yes,
correct?
she started one before, so this allows it to go into the course catalog, but they're also looking to come back to you in the spring because of her experiences, probably with some more selections, but we would like to move forward with jazz band this year.
Okay. Can we sign up to learn the ukulele?
Yeah.
This is just high school?
Just high school.
Yes, we don't need courses for K-8.
Oh, okay.
It's not to say that we couldn't run one, but.
I mean, I
They
only
have
ask because
had
there's a
band.
jazz band at the middle school level,
Yeah,
but.
But not
this
for
isn't-
credit.
Not for core,
Yeah,
for
okay.
credit.
Gotcha.
All right, so, Swartz Creek, music course. Be it resolved, that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approved the Swartz Creek High School music course as presented. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Do we have any support for?
No.
We did.
Do we have support?
Support.
Tony?
So
God, I
moved.
heard you.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Okay.
It's me and Mike.
All right. All right, going on, as Ben mentioned, and as Chuck has suggested, we will go through each one of these.
Yeah, so why don't we start with the middle school fire alarm system?
All right, and we will need a motion and a support for each one.
Do you wanna discuss it first, or?
I think you do a motion first and then
Yeah.
discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, so I need a motion and support.
So
for
moved. Support.
Mike, Tony, all right. I'm gonna read it, ask you if there's any questions, then we'll do a roll call. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approved bid package number 2, middle school fire alarm system replacement project to Ted's Electric Service, Inc., for the cost of $108,950 as presented. Any comments or questions?
Was he already post-interviewed?
Yeah.
He's already been post-interviewed?
Everybody on these.
On
sheets
all,
have been
okay.
posted, yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Joe.
That was my only question.
Okay. Joanne?
Mike?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
And Felicia?
Yes.
7 yes.
All right, the motion passes, resolution passes. Second, be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve bid package number 2, Moorish Elementary renovations and secure office entry addition project. Partial award recommendation to Graham Construction Corporation for concrete in the amount of $59,143.66. HMC Mason Contractors for masonry in the amount of $261,610. Bennett Steel LLC for metals in the amount of $59,870. Goyette Mechanical for mechanical in the amount of $922,700. Master Electric for electrical in the amount of $323,083. And Champagne and Marks Excavating Inc. for site work in the amount of $80,055 for a total cost of $1,706,461.66 as presented. Any comments or questions? Do I have a motion? I don't have a motion.
Support.
Need a motion?
All right, I make a motion.
Support.
Was that Brian and Chuck?
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments or questions?
It's, question is just, I mean, you said that these were almost identical, but obviously some line items are gonna be different. Is that just
There's-
nuances in each one of the buildings that makes it a
There's
little?
slight variations,
Okay.
just
I mean, some are
because
a
of different things, but they're.
significant
they're
chunks,
They're
so.
almost identical.
Okay, alright, that was my only question.
Can I ask one quick question? What all you did to ensure that once we accept these, that we're not gonna have a bunch of changes come in? What are you doing to avoid change orders? Can I just ask that on these bids?
Well, every job has change orders.
Yeah,
I know nobody wants to hear that.
But to minimize
there's-
it, I know.
We go through, I mean, in my opinion, we review NJB's drawings after they complete them. I will say that NJB's drawings seem to be really detailed. And I think it looks like they've spent a lot of time in the buildings. With that being said, though, there's always gonna be foreseen conditions or stuff, there's no perfect set of drawings, so. But we do monitor them closely. We review every change request in detail to make sure that it's legitimate and not covered somewhere in the documents, but there will be, just part of it, that there will be some changes over the course of it.
Okay, thanks.
And I'll help you out with this, Jessica. Is there a max that you put on there? A percentage? Usually when you sign a contract, like on a road project or a fence project, it's plus or minus 5% without coming back for board approval. So Goyette says, oh, we can't do it for $922, we need $967,000. I'm just giving an example, I'm throwing a number out there. And I know you're gonna do a good job in diligence on watching them, because they're probably gonna save money somewhere else if they spend some somewhere.
I mean, basically, the only allowable change order is if there's a hidden condition, if you want to demo a wall and there's piping in there that needs to be taken out that nobody knew was there, or you run into it, then that would be legitimate, or something that was not covered on the bid documents.
Who's
at the
gonna
time.
authorize that? I just
That would
asked.
be up to the board to determine that. Typically, there's some.
I thought we gave you
dollar
the
value,
authority
but-
on the change orders.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
I
did.
think it was,
I
I
thought we
think
did
it was
also.
a percentage, wasn't it?
No, but that's what I'm
Yeah.
asking, what's the
Yeah.
percentage? I just wanna ask the percentage, Mike, usually it's 5%, 10%?
I think it was 10%, but we need to go back to the minutes and find that out, because we're gonna be getting into
We
this.
did vote on it, it was 10%.
Yeah,
That's-
and it might be 5%, I can't
So I
remember.
was trying to help Jessica, cause we need to know this before we say
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Cause if somebody says, oh, what costs 900, or 1.2 million, we went ahead and authorized it, and we're 300 grand over, then it comes back to us. as a
Yeah,
fiduciary
it
body.
goes to,
Yeah.
we have a steering committee that it goes to.
Right?
So, I believe that number was either 5 or 10%. We approved it back in, I believe we approved it in January. So we need to go back and get that number.
I don't remember that, cause I was here in January.
Oh, we did.
We did, okay, that's fine.
We did approve.
Number, I can't.
Yeah.
go off the top of my
You
head.
have it,
All
Alicia?
that
Just
means-
out of
I'm gonna
curiosity.
look.
I'm
don't
doing it
know-
for my own, I mean, you
Yeah.
guys, just,
I
just
remember
think we
doing
need to do
it,
this.
I don't remember the number.
I
the
trust
steering,
that.
the
I'm
steering
getting
committee
at
has
is
no
just to make
authorization
sure,
to do
you
it, it's
know,
on the board.
when-
Right.
Once we say yes, you know, the biggest thing to help us to stay within this budget is to not make changes.
And-
So I'm just asking if there's
Right,
anything.
and there is,
we
each
did or
project
put in
has a
place.
contingent,
Well, sure.
construction contingency set
Yes.
aside to cover.
That's why I ask, I mean,
Yeah.
usually you would tell Gwen, hey, listen, if it's within 5%, we're gonna be okay, guys. But it could be to the good for us.
There are situations.
They
where
can
you
take
have
the
to-
wall down instead of saying, oh my God, all these are good, we're not gonna replace them, these pipes or whatever it may be.
Yeah, there are situations where you have deducts as well. But yeah, there's a 10% contingency in the bond application for the projects as a whole, which would be set aside to cover unforeseen conditions or change events or.
But we gotta make
typically
sure
by the
somebody's
end of the-
authorized to do that, instead of having to
Right.
come to the board every time.
Yeah, that was
We're talking
Ben.
a significant
We
amount of
did
money.
that with Ben.
Okay, I don't, just wanna make sure it's there.
It's a good question. Huh? Was it?
I don't remember, I just, yeah, maybe it was before I came in. I don't know.
Oh,
It was a money amount, not a.
yeah, maybe it
I
was a
didn't do-
total amount.
Well, that's,
It would be
Joanne will be able to
minutes.
produce the minutes, or, you know,
Go
the.
ahead, I think,
Yeah, we need to get them.
yeah.
So the next point really to vote.
Yeah, we're at a point.
We're on
where-
discussion. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
we're
what's
we're
my-
at,
that's
we're at
my point.
discussion, the next thing would be to vote.
That's the.
You have all the old
that's not-
minutes?
No, keep all of it. Still vote, I'm okay with voting.
You think we made a resolution on that, or did we just generally talk about it?
I think we voted on it.
Well, it was a money amount.
I'm pretty sure we voted on it, because I know when I talked with Trun, we asked for permission, we needed to have that,
Right.
exactly what you described.
Yeah, it was necessary
Mhm.
to happen quickly.
Was it January or February?
It might be on. Because we were talking about the first bid packages and when they're coming in, I'm thinking it was this. Like they're all on there.
The reason why I stopped us on this one, because we have $922,000 bids. You start having these big bids, you gotta have some control of the contractor. And
I think,
that's my only hang-up on it.
oh, you got
before I
yours
vote
open,
on it.
Tony?
Yeah, I'm trying to find.
I think it was January.
I think it was January too.
Mm-hmm. Cause February, even
When
your
the
notes
bids-
said that we started getting bid roll-ins. And then it was before we had anything.
We got the bids, but I don't ever remember talking about what the contingency was for the 5 or 10%, because we threw the bids out because they were so high.
I think Tony's right though, I think it was a dollar amount, I wanna say 50 grand. Up to 50,000, that's my, for betting, my bet's $50,000, if I remember. We said we didn't want you to have to come back to us and put everything on delay, that we granted you.
Good.
Granted you an authority, we just need to know how much.
We need to know what the amount is.
50,000 of $1 million project just with one contractor is 5%. So,
I think that's
It may have been a fixed amount, dollar amount, not
Yeah, that's
a
what Tony was saying, I
percentage.
think it was.
I thought it was a dollar amount.
that's good. $100 project. That's $50,100, okay. Authorize the check.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could. We're all looking, like I could do it from here, those things.
What I see about bond in January was that we let the townships vote, do the, inspection.
I thought, it wasn't in that same discussion?
It's not in the minutes.
Sorry, I'm holding up the meeting.
November, December, maybe? I don't think it was back that far.
Could be November.
No, it was after I was
Would've
here,
been November.
so it had to be after
Yeah.
January.
Cause you were
You
here.
do remember that?
I definitely remember the conversation.
Were they gonna put it to Clayton Township?
You.
The whole,
Oh, I'm hearing all sorts of horrible rumors.
why is it leaving?
Sure, it's the same reason you left.
That's too much backbiting, too much conflict.
been here.
I finished my term though.
I'm surprised it's not finishing, 'cause it's 1 year left.
I know. Yeah, just put the pressure on. Yeah, she's one of those on this. Oh.
I don't know what's going on.
So, maybe, you didn't talk to Cal.
I talked to
see them all.
Jim, but I just, hey, how are you? He asked me.
I mean, did you talk to him about that?
Oh, no. But he wants it.
He wants him out. You mean he wants to be the supervisor?
I don't know, but you know what, I don't know, you're asking. I mean, he's got experience.
So one thing that we could do, you know, obviously, we need to find that resolution if it's already been made. This project's not gonna start until September, so we won't approach that. By our next meeting, if for some reason we can't find the resolution, we can make that. We can make official action at that point.
Well, after this vote, we can go off the agenda and just do it now. And give
You
it a
could-
percentage.
you could
I
do
don't
that.
have a problem, it's up to Madam President.
So I think we should finish these bids first and then have that conversation.
Yeah, because you can.
You could do that
Yeah.
today if you
Yeah.
wanted to.
Because, or actually, yes, I'd like to do it in between, just so we get it, so we know it's 5% or 6% or whatever. 5% of
Or
a
a
million
fixed
bucks
amount.
is $50,000, right?
Okay, so,
Well,
What would you suggest, Jim? Let me ask you from your professional experience of doing this 26
Well,
years.
that's up to you guys, but I mean, typically the superintendent's authorized a dollar amount, whether it be $50,000 per change order, but I think, I'm not sure, are you asking how much these would be approved
No,
for a
I'm
change
asking
order?
from your experience, not asking him, I'm asking from your experience on a change order, what's the normal that you've encountered? I mean, something's if you've been doing it for 26 years, something shocked you. Oh my gosh, we were $100,000 off on this, or $200,000 off, or 10% off, 5% off.
So, following. You talking about
So,
the average size of an change
typically-
order?
Typically, when you have a
what's the-
change, what's the percentage if you have it? You've been doing it for 26 years, I don't know, you tell me, I don't know.
That we put on?
no, or that we would put on, correct?
Usually there's a dollar amount. I mean,
Yeah.
That's what I thought
I just
it was.
finished like Hastings Schools, the finance director could sign whatever change order he wanted, they had no limit. Nothing went to the board. Some people say there's a $25,000, I think bigger $25,000.
Well, there is some
for an
laws.
individual. What's that?
Yeah, there are some laws that we have to abide by.
Right, but that's the school, I don't know, I've never been involved, but sometimes the superintendent will get a $50,000 per change order is the biggest one they can sign, and that's
So-
basically up to you guys how you wanna designate that.
We have, I don't know if this was it, there's no specifications on here. It's a resolution to ratify acceptance of bond pricing. That's not it, is it?
I don't think it was lumped into that resolution, that
So-
would be in the minutes.
Oh, let me ask you this, in your experience, do a $10,000 change order, Ben would be coming to us pretty often, relatively, like is 25,000, like, that's a ballpark
Yeah.
for,
I'm
that
more
it's
with
not
you.
overly
Ten-
ridiculous, and it gives a lot of leeway to get stuff done without us getting tangled in the
10,000
weeds.
probably come to you fairly often.
And we could even consider 25, and if it becomes
Right, and you could adjust later. I mean,
onerous for you.
If you have
it'd have to
if you have a
come in.
change that affects multiple contractors, then it gets to 10,000 pretty quick. I mean, so that, like I said, that's generalizing, cause every change is different, or every.
So then-
Why don't we
Do you
just
need
do,
a
why don't we,
motion
can I
then?
make suggest, why don't we do 10% per project? So if the concrete guy says, hey, I'm over, he's got 10%. If the electrician comes over on that same project, says, hey, I'm over, he's got 10% on that. That gives him a 10% overage on every individual project, which actually gives him more money, but it shouldn't be that. We shouldn't be over on every project, and then our bids aren't correct.
They have, that's where I'm getting confused. They're on a lump sum.
Yeah.
They can't come back and say we spent more money than we bid. There has to be a specific change that
Right.
happens.
An unforeseen.
Right, so they can't come back and say, I spent it cost me 10% more to
Yeah,
do
I
the
think
job.
what-
than
No,
you
I
guys
know they
owe."
have to come to you first, Jim, and say, hey,
But-
listen.
I think
Yeah,
what
so
Chuck is saying is that in the event that they run into an unforeseen circumstance, if it's within 10% of their bid price, we can move forward. If it's over that, this board's gotta take full.
Yeah, we gotta come back and see that, so I'm not gonna, yeah. Listen, if the concrete guy said, just let's take Morse Elementary. concrete guy says, $100,000. He says, look at all these pipes I had to rip out. You say, yeah, I didn't know this, all this work was here. So it's $107,000, so that would be 7% more, right? Right, 7%, yeah. And he could just go to bed and say, these are the unforeseen projects, he can write it off on it. But if he says, hey, this is $127,000 instead of $100,000, and you say, yeah, that's a lot of extra work, we gotta know this, especially when it gets over $25,000.
But it's gotta be prior approval. If they come to something, they're digging
Right.
something up, and they
Right.
find something that they're
Well,
unforeseen.
right.
Then they go to the
Right,
construction
it'll
manager.
get priced at that point.
Yeah, and Jim says, yeah, wow, you're right. I mean, Jim, I'm trying, everybody's gonna be honest here, and Jim says, yeah, this is really a screw up, and then he goes to Ben, and Ben says, okay, it's gotta be done.
I can do up to a dollar amount. I mean, honestly, I'm open to whatever you guys wanna do. I think it would be very, very difficult to get the projects done if the number's too low.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't wanna be responsible for, and I probably may just bring it to you anyway if it's too big, so what that number is, I'm not exactly sure. I think we need to make a decision, but we may be coming back to the table in a future board meeting and saying, hey, we may need to adjust this.
Yeah, don't say we can't do that, so I say throw 10% out per line item.
Or 25,000.
Per line item, or, yeah.
Okay.
That gives you a lot on the total project. 10% on 1.7 million on Morris is 170,000 if everybody was 10% over.
Right.
Right? I mean, we're
Right.
1.7 million total.
No, I agree with you.
Okay, so why
I
don't
was a
we
little
finish
tempted still, I
this
don't see it.
particular item?
Okay.
So we are at a point for roll call, which Joanne is absent. Would you mind to do it, Tony? Please.
Mom said it.
You mind, sir?
I'm sure it was a fixed amount.
Shall we read it? We already.
You could just say the names
They'll
and,
find it.
Oh, hold on,
I already read it.
I'll ask Joanne to come back.
okay.
They'll find it. We'll get through this.
Poor lady, she's in there searching every single.
I know, well, I went all the way through April, I
know.
can't find it. I think it was in that resolution that we had, but it's not specified.
It's like $536,000.
Wasn't part of our agenda, so we didn't document.
53,536.
I think it was lumped in that.
Thank you, Ms.
It was under
Joanne.
that, I did.
We're going to
It was
do roll
as
call on the second proposal.
Well,
On Morris Elementary?
Yeah, we
Yes.
approved that.
exactly, prior approval.
Brian?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
What are we, I'm sorry.
Carrie?
Morris.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Alicia?
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Okay, that one passes, Morris Elementary, for 1.70646166.
Why
All
don't we do
right,
that now, Madam President?
pardon me?
Why don't we do it now so we're all clear?
Okay, at this point, we are going to,
I make a motion, we have an agenda change just slightly to add on a percentage of change on the contract bid prices currently, so if needed, the superintendent or his designee could make a change within a certain amount of percentage, and let's see if we can get that agenda change first, and then we'll discuss the amount.
okay,
Support.
so Chuck and Tony, any comments or questions? Hearing none,
I think it should be
Roll
change
call.
orders, that's the proper,
change order?
not just change orders.
Change
Yes,
order.
yeah, no,
Okay,
it's,
change
yeah,
order.
let's go into
Good job.
discussion on it,
Good.
Mike, we'll get the fine tune of it.
Let's
yeah.
do roll call on that one too.
On the agenda change first.
Okay.
Mike?
Yes.
Alicia?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
And Brian?
Okay, so now our agenda is changed.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion. I'll withdraw my motion because the agenda, and I'd like to add on to it what Mike suggested, that we give the superintendent up to 10% authority of up to 10% per line item for a change order if needed, at his discretion or his designee, if that's it, per line item per project that's currently being bid out for this first line of bids. I know it's a lot, sorry.
Yep.
Chuck and Alicia, any comments or questions? Roll
you
call,
get that?
please. Superintendent is authorized for up to 10% line order change orders if needed. Is that correct?
There's discussion, if you want to pass
approve.
Does that say it or
I
not?
guess I'm not following the line item thing, and I know it sounds like you were in the road. but-
So if you have concrete as one of your divisions, So Morrish Elementary that we just approved, okay, so Morrish Elementary has, their mechanical, Goyette Mechanical at $922,000. If there's a change order in the mechanical project and that change order is $92,000 or less, okay, I can make that adjustment. If the change.
Well, cause I just wanna make sure everybody's clear, because they're gonna come individually, it's not gonna wait till the end and say, okay, we stacked up this much extra, that's why I'm getting confused, because it's gonna go as you go, because it's not gonna wait till the end and then, okay, you owe me $92,000, we're gonna wanna.
So you're recommending a dollar amount, would that be better?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine, if that's what you guys want. I just wanna be able to give some flexibility in that we're all on the same page. And
Right, we never accumulate till the end where that would, where you know that.
So you're saying, Jim, that as we go on 2 months into the project, you're gonna say, hey, listen, this guy's really over, this guy's, you know, maybe a few bucks over, and the catch order.
Basically, it's gonna happen, say you start site work, and this doesn't apply, but you start digging for footings, you find unsuitable soil.
Right.
So you have to dig out 50 yards.
Bring it back,
They're gonna give us a price to do that.
Right.
We're gonna bring it to Ben or whoever, we're gonna say, we have this condition, it's this much. Ben's gonna say, okay, I accept that, I approve that. And so it's gonna come as we go. It's not gonna be, you get to the end and, okay, now we had this much accumulate over the job that we feel that you owe us, because you can't.
So let's take that example and play that out. So let's say that the number is $40,000 or I don't know what the number will be, but let's just say it's $50,000 for easy math. And then the first change order is 25,000. They do another one that's, 26,000. Okay, so now they need to make that. That's over my $50,000 amount. We have to come back and get approval.
But usually it's a per change order.
So if you're digging out the 50 yards of dirt.
Not that you can approve 10 $5,000 changes, but the biggest change order for any one event that you could charge, or that you could sign for.
Yeah.
So so in case there's any major catastrophe that something happens, there's
Okay.
some huge change order, that it would come to the board, but it's more a per event, so you're gonna have, cause.
Per event.
It's like saying you can go up to $10,000 on this, and then the next one, up to $10,000.
Right. Because the way this is gonna work, because
Okay,
you guys,
multiple
you guys
10,000.
hold the contract.
Yeah, that's why does it
And
make
that's why I
sense
just wanna
to
make
do?
sure
I'm sorry, say that again, Jim?
I just wanna make sure, because the school holds the contract with the contractors.
Right.
We work as your agent, so say, the architect issues a bulletin or, to change something that affects 10 contractors in some way, then you're gonna have 10 change orders for that one bulletin.
Right.
Because you have 10 different contractors, each with an,
With a report.
so that would be 10 change orders. I just wanna make sure everybody's getting the terminology right in your head when you're at, so it'd be, you need to decide, if there's a bulletin that's issued that tears out a wall and adds something else or changes the carpet and affects 10 people.
Right.
Are you authorizing $25,000 per contractor change order or $25,000 per bulletin, which would be the aggregate of all the quotes for that particular change, so, does that make sense?
See, it's actually gonna help him, because then if he gets in a trick bag where he has to spend more, and somebody's raising heck out there, and then it still comes back to us. I'm trying to make this smooth and let him have some leeway, because I don't think we've ever voted on it, and I don't know what the right answer is now with these. I thought a percentage per line item, but maybe not, maybe that's too much.
Well, I think the term you're using is per event or per contractor. You've got 10
Right,
contractors.
Cause
one
like
event.
road work, they use line items
Yeah.
on the state. And
Yeah, that's-
this isn't really broken out, it's a lump sum.
Hey, the architect says this wall has to be replaced, and then you got the drywall, or this guy, that
Right.
guy. So you're affecting 8 smaller contractors,
Right.
and the project may be X amount of dollars. What's the most we could go, is it 20 or 22,000? Maybe we should just go with the dollar amount. I would withdraw my motion and go with the dollar amount. I don't know.
Is 25,000, 30,000, 40? I mean, what is a standard? What have you typically seen out there?
50 is generally a pretty good number not to have you come back all the time. And like you say, if you're uncomfortable, you could bring it back below that, but 50 is a fairly common for that circumstance.
Okay.
I'm uncomfortable with 50, but that's just me.
But is that a single contractor's change order, or is that accumulation?
And that's up to you.
So,
you know, like if like
I know, I
you said,
almost feel like
if a
saying it.
bulletin is issued by the architect that says you gotta tear this wall down and do something, you're gonna have the drywall or the carpet guy, the steel stud guy, the ceiling guy, you're gonna get all these quotes, and then you can make that, you could authorize an aggregate where all those quotes combine for, so any one change, like any one bulletin, the event could sign for $50,000, or.
So that's one event affecting multiple contractors.
Or it could be one, I mean, if you have unsuitable soil underneath the
Yeah, that
parking lot,
could
it could be one contractor, but it still could be $50,000.
Right.
So you could accomplish the same thing though by doing it by line item, because if the architect said the wall's bad and he has a 10% leeway or 5% leeway, well, he's got that much to go on the carpet, that much to go with the drywall guy, that much to go with it, I'm just.
Can, well, how about if we did 25,000 per bulletin or contractor, if it's 25,000 for a single contractor, right? If it were gonna exceed $25,000 for a single contractor, we'd wanna know, or collectively within a bulletin, $25,000, we would wanna know.
You're gonna know, you're gonna be
Are
bugging
we
a
gonna know?
lot for a
Okay.
bulletin,
Yeah, for a bulletin.
Oh, that's
25,000,
true.
that's
That'd
gonna
be
be.
like 4 or 5 contractors.
Oh, so could we
Yeah.
do one, could we do it this way, or does it address, like, would we wanna do 25 for a single contractor, 50 for a bulletin? Does that make sense? I mean, is that the?
I would agree with that, Jessica, I withdraw my motion, I would like, if that's what everybody's in agreement with, you know.
Will that work, Jim?
I think that would work.
Then we could always adjust it later, if this
Yeah.
becomes
Right.
too onerous for you.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense to do it a different way, we could always.
Right, and then.
Because
Consider
then,
Yeah, cause one thing that, with these projects, like Deacon Moore Chanel's being almost identical, a bulletin or a change at one is gonna be the same as the other three, more than likely.
sure.
So,
Is it,
but it'd be three separate ones, cause it's
Be
three separate budgets.
projects, yeah,
so.
three separate budgets.
is it
Right.
too nitpicky or controlling of it to, cap a contractor at, say, 10% that?
That's what I was trying to get you.
Yeah.
Well, like
That's what I was
overall,
saying,
I'm saying
yeah.
like, cause, I mean.
Well, that's what I said, per
like-
line item, that's kinda where I wanted to go.
Well, I mean, even just like collectively, like.
But like you said, you
I
could
almost
hit that
question if
10% 3
Toyota
days
keeps
in.
coming back and
You
they're
really
the only
can't
one
do it.
coming back, constantly changing.
But you would hit that 10%
But they
on
can't,
the third
they
day,
won't.
and then they can't do the
You
work.
But
really
the other
can't do
part
it
is-
by contractor, because they're not gonna get a change order, if it's covered in the documents, they're not gonna get a change order, whether they didn't have enough money in their bid to finish the job or not, that doesn't qualify them for a change order. So
I
they can't
gotcha.
come back and just say, I underbid it, you owe me money.
Yeah.
To limit on
You're
money.
gonna take care of that for us,
Right.
you're not gonna, that's your job, not to let them do that.
Yeah,
just 'cause-
so, you really can't limit it to contractor, because the site guy, I mean, who knows, you get out here and start working, they could have a bunch of unsuitable soil, and it's, as long as, you know,
Okay.
if there's changes to the documents or issues with the documents.
Like to
that
do what Jessica
is out of
says.
their control, it's kinda
Yeah.
hard to limit them,
I
and say
agree.
no matter how bad the drawings are, or what field conditions.
So how do we phrase
you'll
that?
withdraw?
Absolutely, yeah, just because if that's gonna create a
Okay.
problem for him on the percentage, I still don't see it, but I get it, so let's just,
And
we'll move on, I
okay.
just gave that we cover our butts.
Okay,
That's
so
it.
did you want
In
to
your butt.
rephrase what you said, Jessica?
I withdraw.
Yeah.
I withdraw my
Think about
motion.
that.
Thank you.
The verbiage is that we would allow Ben or empower Ben to, be able to, authorize change orders for an individual contractor up to $25,000 and.
Per change order.
Per change order, and for a bulletin, he is authorized to approve change orders up to $50,000.
Up to and including?
Yes.
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 And then
Okay.
we'll just have to monitor it and see how
Yeah.
it's going.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
Change.
I think
And
we're
if
gonna
it's delaying
adjust
a
it
whole
now.
bunch,
Support for Jessica's motion.
Okay, so I have Chuck and Jessica.
I didn't know it'd take this long, I just wanted to.
No, it's
support.
good, I'm
It's all right,
glad, it's
that's
a good
good.
thing to bring up.
Better to do it now. Any other comments or questions? Okay, Miss Joanne.
Brian,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Kiri,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Alicia,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
and Tony.
Yes.
Thanks, Joanne, for going to look to see if it was in the minutes.
So we didn't have it, it's not there.
I didn't get through all of them,
Okay.
I had to read a lot
There
of
was
stuff.
discussion.
What's wrong with you? You didn't get through them all in like 4 minutes?
I was reading fast, but I'm not that fast, sorry.
Okay, so now we are on Siring Elementary, correct? All right. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approved bid package number 2, Siring Elementary renovations and secure office entry addition project. Partial award recommendation to Graham Construction Corporation for concrete in the amount of $136,421.20. Davenport Masonry for masonry in the amount of $302,300. Men of Steel Inc. for metals in the amount of $73,715. Ecker Mechanical Contractors Inc. for mechanical in the amount of $842,960. And Master Electrical for electrical in the amount of $309,032 for a total of $1,664,428.20 as presented. I need a motion.
Support.
Tony and Brian. Any comments or questions?
Can you, that was to Graham Construction?
It says Graham Construction.
Yeah, Siring.
Siring.
And for what amount?
$136,000, $421.20.
Okay.
Good? Okay, good to double check.
So-
All right,
Are you discussion?
discussion, anyone?
Discussion on that, I think to, Mike's question, both Perez and McCarthy did not submit a complete bid, and they requested that their bid be withdrawn, as well as Perez.
Which is why theirs is so much more.
They missed the entire makerspace edition.
Obviously, they both did.
No comments or questions? Joanne, please?
Alicia?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
And Brian?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Deke Elementary. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve bid package number 2, Deke Elementary renovations and secure office entry addition project. Partial award recommendation to Graham Construction Corporation for concrete in the amount of $59,143.66. HMC Mason Contractors for masonry in the amount of $261,610. Bennett Steel Inc. for metals in the amount of $59,870. Goyette Mechanical for mechanical in the amount of $964,100. Master Electrical for electrical in the amount of $329,268. And Champagne and Marks Excavating for site work in the amount of $79,395 for a total of $1,753,386.66 as presented. I need a motion.
So moved.
Support. Tony, Mike. Any comments or questions?
Yes, I see Goyette got most of these, Jim. Why didn't they get the other one? I mean, if they bid all these jobs and they're getting 4 out of the 5, what happened?
There's just slight differences.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it's a few $1,000s more, so why didn't we stay with the same? I'm just saying, if we got 4 mechanical engineers for 4 schools, or 3 for 3 of the schools and one's different, why didn't we just spend a few extra bucks to keep on?
Ecker and William E. Walter, which
Yep.
William E. Walter is gonna be brought in for gains, but Ecker's a good contractor, William E. Walter's a good contractor.
Good.
And basically, we're honoring the low bid process.
All right. And they're just as good as.
We didn't have any reason to bypass the
Got it.
other bidders to give, and also along the lines of not wanting to give one contractor
all the work.
Going out of our way to bypass a little bidder to give another contractor 2 more projects, so that could potentially cause them some tradespeople issues and schedule issues, so.
All right.
Jim, I'm so glad you're here.
It's complicated.
Okay,
That's kind of what my question was to begin with, I thought I just didn't say it.
But I don't understand, if Goyette got 3 of the 4 schools, why they just wouldn't cut a few more bucks and just say, we're gonna do them all, and then we have only one guy to deal with, because if there's a warranty thing, now we're calling 2 different people, but that's okay, that's just my question.
Legally, we can't negotiate on public funding,
You're right.
so
You
we
got the
can't
bid,
give them the option of
Right.
lowering their price for the other ones.
Okay.
Did Goyette offer a incentive if they got multiple projects? Did any of the mechanical?
Johnson and Wood did.
Johnston and Wood, so if they would have received them, they would have received, and if they would have received their reduction, or we would have received the reduction if we gave them multiple, would that have dropped them below the low bidder or no?
No, they offered a combined bid if they awarded all 5 projects. They gave a lump sum dollar amount for all 5, which still, you're $77,000 cheaper by going to low bidder for each job than you were taking their combined bid.
Got it.
Combined
So
bid.
instead of having one company do all 5, that was my question, that's why I was asking
Yeah.
about why we're getting different mechanical people, but one company seems to be outbidding everybody, and then they don't do it on one job.
Hey, I'll be honest with you, I had people that didn't want them all. Some were relieved that they didn't get all.
Well, they're probably worried, how am I gonna do this?
Right, so.
I look at it from a school standpoint, if we have one mechanical engineer doing it all, we only have one company to call that's installed them all, that's all.
Well,
For warranty
that's
workers.
certainly, yeah, there's
okay.
variety, but yes, that's a legitimate point.
That's a great answer, thank you.
Okay, Joanne.
Okay, think Chuck,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Alicia.
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and Karen.
Yes.
7 yeses.
All right, moving on to Elms. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approved bid package number 2, Elms Elementary Renovations and Secure Office Entry Addition Project. Partial award recommendation to Graham Construction Corporation for concrete in the amount of $59,143.66. HMC Mason Contractors for masonry in the amount of $261,610. Bennett Steel Inc. for metals in the amount of $59,870. Goyette Mechanical for mechanical in the amount of $945,900. Master Electric for electrical in the amount of $328,312. And Champaign and Marks Excavating for site work in the amount of $62,267 for a total of $1,717,102.66 as presented. I need a motion.
So moved.
Tony?
Support.
Jessica? All right, any comments or questions? All right, Miss Joanne.
Mike,
Yes.
Alicia.
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
and Brian.
Yes.
All right, thanks, everybody. Moving on, we have a truck to purchase.
No.
I know.
That's easy.
$29,000, no, we just spent several million.
Million.
You were for it on Monday.
I was for it on Monday.
One last comment, just with the change order discussion before I leave, we don't mark up change orders, so we have no benefit. So I just want, so
Thank you.
that's, we make sure we look at them, because we hate to have them too, it's just extra work and it causes confusion. But just so everybody knows, we do not get markups, so we do not push for change orders or like change orders ourselves.
Do you, I mean, I'm sure you do, you say, hey, you guys had an honest bid here, and let's stick with the bid.
Well, it's.
Unless there's
yeah.
some big unforeseen thing, like you said, I get it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I say, we can only hold them to what's on the document, so if something
Right.
changes, it's not fair.
Okay.
In fairness to the contractor, that's how we look at it, but just, wanted you to know that.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you, Jim.
Oh, wait, do you have a question for Jim?
I'd like to thank Jim.
Yes.
Jim, I appreciate your answers. I feel much better than I did at 3 o'clock. And I'm sorry you had to come, but you did a good job.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank
Thank
you.
You actually got it passed through, because I don't think I could have voted on any of this without asking some of these questions of you,
It's
so.
a complicated process if you haven't been through it.
Yeah. Thank you.
There's a lot of ins and outs.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
We're spending lots of money.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank
Oh,
you.
my goodness.
All right, next we have a maintenance truck purchase.
Yeah, so I wanna just, let you know, recap, we had a conversation at, Building and Site. We had, bids that went out for the purchase of a maintenance vehicle that was in our budget. Obviously, this is not a bond purchase, this is out of our general fund operations. The low bidder was Shea Chevrolet in the amount of $29,667. That was for a Chevrolet 3/4 ton extended cab maintenance truck. And so it was a very good price that they came in at. Once we decided to move forward, unfortunately, that truck was not on the lot. However, Shea located a according to the bid specs, they located a GMC that was red that has all the same features as the Chevy, but it's a GMC, which actually still fits within our bid scope. So in front of you, you're seeing an addendum there that says the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approved the purchase of a 2019 GMC or Chevrolet 3/4 ton maintenance truck for bid specifications, and the price stays the same. So they actually gave the GMC at the same price that the Chevy was at. So, and that was laid out in the bid specification.
Okay.
We had discussion about the use of that truck.
Yes.
Do we need to vote on it? Do we need to inform the
Yes.
board what our recommendation?
Oh, I do, yeah, I think, you don't
wanted
need to
to make
vote
a
on it, but you
suggestion
do
on
need
it.
to talk about it, I
We need to
think.
talk about it, Mike.
Yeah. So, part of the, I'll start the conversation, and then you three who were there can weigh in. This particular conversation came up years ago, previously when I started, just with the nature of the state of our operations department. I had asked that the maintenance truck not be used outside of work. RC lives locally, and there are a lot of times where he's called in on call to attend to an accident, an emergency, a fire alarm goes off, a security alarm goes off. And so we had a conversation about the use of the company vehicle strictly for work purposes. And so I can let you guys fill in the blanks there.
We came to a decision to let them drive it back and forth to home.
That's right. We talked about that. Mike was in agreement, I was in agreement, I know Brian was still here.
Personal, yeah, no
But
personal business.
I wanna add some things to that. We just can't say that's okay, because we're opening ourselves up for liability. We have to have a policy or procedure on it saying that he can't be riding his kids around, or if somebody gets hurt in that truck, it's on us. So I don't have a problem with RC driving the truck back and forth to work.
Right.
In an emergency situation, you can come up, but there has to be a policy with me voting on it that, or, I mean, all of us, but I mean, for me to
So we can
support-
purchase the truck now and do the policy.
Yeah, if we want them to drive a truck home, I got no problem with it personally, but I don't want somebody to run around with their kids in it or something, and, you know,
We never had a policy for the past maintenance director.
But that doesn't mean that's not right though, Mike. We gotta have something. If a kid gets hurt in one of our trucks, and RC's got kids, or if he's driving it, we gotta have some guidelines on where he's driving it. And it's to and from work, emergencies, you know, I told him I don't care if he stops at the grocery store on the way home, but he can't take it home, put his kids in it, go up to the movie theater, which I don't think he would. But I'm just saying, if he did do that, and we don't have a policy, he's gonna say, you guys never said that.
So
You just can't let somebody do that.
Where would be the most appropriate place for us to discuss that? At our
Official
policy
school
committee,
business
or is
only.
that more of a guideline that you would establish related
Well,
to the use of
typically that would be, you could have the conversation at policy. There is a policy that is in our, the number is escaping me, but the policy speaks to use of equipment for personal use and those types of things. And so you could certainly look at that, but typically that's gonna be an administrative guideline. So that's gonna be something that you have a discussion on, and you basically are saying to me, you know, please make sure that these types of things are handled, because it falls under operations more than it does policy.
And once it gets in an accident, then it's gonna come back financially on us. It could.
It could, yeah, but that's the case in almost everything. we do.
And you know what, we had take-home cars at work all the time. It's just that we had a stout policy, saying that, and me and Brian just talked about, for official business only.
Yep.
And I don't want somebody, cause we have a lot of people drinking and doing all sorts of crazy stuff in cars, and then we absorb the liabilities, the township board, the school board, and I don't want that to come back on the board.
Why don't we do this, and maybe this will be acceptable.
But I'm okay with the truck.
Yeah. Why don't we make the purchase of the vehicle, and then at our next building and site committee, I will prepare an administrative guideline for that. And then you can review it, and then it can be reported out at our next board meeting.
It doesn't have to be expensive, just something to.
Yeah, so that we know that it's in writing.
Yeah,
I'll just
I
throw
don't
out,
know if
I mean,
Mike and
there
everybody
are,
agree, I just don't want, cause if we don't put it in writing, and if it's not strict enough, somebody will say, well, you never told me this.
Yep.
And we're gonna say, yeah, we don't have anything to protect us, and then we're out on the limb for it.
I think it'd be good to even have them sign it.
oh, absolutely. I was
Absolutely.
gonna say, I would recommend
Yep.
some kind of contact or reference to any other institution that has company vehicles. You have to provide your own insurance and information, and you're signing, and I mean, there's a lot of release of liability. to that. Are there any, my other question is, are there any other vehicles that we operate that people would otherwise take off grounds?
Take home, you mean?
I think in the winter, don't we?
Yeah, in the wintertime, for sure.
So I think it needs to apply to anybody,
Yeah.
or any vehicle in the fleet of that sort.
They all
Yep.
go off grounds when they go in between.
Yeah,
projects.
absolutely. But they're on
Yeah,
official
but-
business.
yeah.
Official
They're-
school
yeah,
business.
they're going from Morris to Deep to plow the driveway,
Yeah.
but if we're gonna let people take some vehicles home, which I'm not opposed for the people that are on call,
Yeah.
I just don't want them, I went to the movie theater, I put my kids in there, I
I
stopped
think you
by.
already said it, yeah, if it's put in there as official or professional.
Yeah,
purpose
exactly,
only.
yeah, I think we,
I think it's a good idea.
So should we buy a trunk?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, let's vote on
All
the
right,
truck.
so I think you read the resolution, I can read it again. Be it
Yeah.
resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the purchase of a 2019 GMC or Chevrolet three-quarter-ton maintenance truck per bid specs for $29,667 from Shea Chevrolet. I need a motion.
So support.
Tony, Brian, any comments or questions?
Just that is a ridiculously good price.
Oh
It's
my,
a good
yes.
price and the
Thank
truck
you,
was
Shea.
needed, the truck was needed.
Any, and no
Appreciate
comments,
your support,
questions?
everybody.
Other
Everybody-
question,
Yeah.
assuming that this is new, this comes with a full warranty for
Yes.
full 3-year, all that?
Taking a roll call?
Yeah, roll call,
Yeah.
roll call
Yeah.
vote, yeah.
Ready?
Yep.
Felicia?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Kiri?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
You're so good at that, Joanne.
Thank you for your support on that.
Thank you,
Everybody.
thank you. Okay, public comments, I see we still have a very courageous soul who's still here. Any public comments?
Do you have any public comments, Ted? At this time?
Okay, thank you, sir. Comments and questions from the board?
I have a question. With all of our additions, do we have any still outstanding vacancies for employment?
For,
Education, well, teachers.
Certified staff?
Yeah.
as of right now, we do not have any vacancies. We do have a long-term, we have a couple long-term sub-positions, which are positions that are difficult to fill or we're close to the beginning of the school year, and those happen almost every year. It's possible that we will find long-term subs to start the school year, and then halfway through the school year, we'll come back and we'll say, these people have been fantastic, and actually look to hire them. But we believe that we're gonna do our best to balance our kindergarten numbers with the addition of this section. We're adding it at Deke Elementary, which is currently sitting at 35 students in kindergarten. So we're gonna lower that class size down to 17 and 18 respectively. And then any new students, because we every day are still having kids come in and enroll, and so this is a good problem to have, but anybody that's a school of choice student, we're going to be diverting to those classrooms where we have room. And so that's how we're trying to combat that fluctuation. At this time, you know, I've had it happen to me before where the first day of teacher PD, the teacher just doesn't show up and said, yeah, I just decided I'm not coming back. So, you know, we hope that doesn't happen because we're gearing everything up and specking up to start. But as far as I know, yeah, we're good, we're covered.
With that, I wanna thank Michelle Bilby and her team for the summer program. It's amazing. Every year it's getting better. Also wanna congratulate the new teachers and thanks Rod and anybody else who was on the interview team. They did a great job selecting these new folks. And thanks to all of you. Thanks to Rod and to Ben and I wanna thank you in advance for the next week because I know it's gonna be a little hectic, but great time, great time. Things are good.
Things are good right now, so we just
Yeah.
have to keep plugging away, not
Thanks.
rest.
With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I got 2 comments.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm not doing board comments. Go ahead, who was next?
No,
Somebody?
No,
Our meeting's taped after we come out of closed session. Did we always turn it back on?
Usually that is our intention, yes.
If there's somebody here to turn it on.
I thought we do it remotely over the phone.
We do. So yes, that is typically the practice, and if not, we make sure that the minutes are collected.
So it would cover any gaps in our video? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And that's it, okay. And number 2, the children that have been suspended, and I don't remember the numbers, I'll just say the children.
what process do we do to monitor? Like, a couple of these kids didn't have a lot of money, I shouldn't say that, they, food, that kind of stuff, are we worrying about? Are they gonna be fed, you know, because now they're not in the lunch program, so now they're kinda double whammied because we give free lunches out, but they're stuck at home, being homeschooled. And,
Yeah, I appreciate that.
what's the policy for us to make sure they're being fed?
So,
monitored?
that's a great question. I did talk with, I
know I
send an
mentioned
email.
to you yesterday.
Yep. And so I have not heard back yet, so I'll get that to you as soon as I find out. What I can tell you is that, it's very challenging in those situations because we don't technically have much contact other than, you know, they have an online, we obviously make contact with the machines, but there's not a daily contact with another human being. So, we haven't really crossed that bridge, so I don't know.
Can it be addressed so far, the kids that we have suspended, I wanna make sure they're fed?
It's possible. I mean, I don't know what that process would look like, but I'm gonna try and find out.
Well, Michael will figure it out, won't he? If you tell him to do it, or ask him to do it?
He will do his best, and if there's somebody that can do it, he's the one that can do it, so.
Meals on Wheels.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, we suspend these kids, we know that they're maybe don't have a lot of money at home, or depending on eating at school, we suspend them, and then they're at home, and then they don't have any food at all, and we've kinda just left them out there to hang. And I don't wanna, they did the punishment to themselves, but that's no reason for us to not help them out, and I'd like to have some type of policy when we review every 3 months these kids in closed session to see what their progress are. Are they getting good grades? Are they doing something with school, or did we just lose the kid? I mean, we're not doing it we're sending a kid out for a year, and then we're just like, well, you don't get no food, you don't get this, you don't get that. That's not what I'm here for. That one kid, whether we save him or not, we should still treat him right with the food, and is he getting his education, and is he making any progress? Because maybe if we want to bring somebody back, we gotta look at something to judge it by. If we can. The last one, we all were kinda torn on, you know, and I can't say it in open, but, you know, if the kid does good in 6 months, maybe we should say, hey, listen, let's let him come back, and let's feed him in the meantime, okay?
I will look into
That's
that.
it. Them are
Thank
my
you,
two
Ben.
concerns. Yep.
Sure.
I have one comment to make. Speaking on feeding people, the Dragon Diner did a fantastic job this summer. I had the opportunity to have my kids eat at it. I had the opportunity to go and be around it while kids were eating at it and having fun. Michael and his team have done a fantastic job, and it's really a
neat.
blessing to be a part of it, yeah.
Absolutely.
Even
We'll have
at
him come and
distance.
give a report again with pictures and show you all the new stuff.
Good.
He's pretty much a blessing for everybody in this district, and then some. I'm sure there are children who are not part of our district yet.
Our
That may
food
take
service staff
advantage.
took such pride today to serve even the support staff, and Michael was there with them, and they made, you know, they're cooking food, they're not just taking stuff out of a freezer and throwing it into an oven, they're cooking, and they're taking a lot of pride. I see a lot of, just people that are proud of what they're doing in that department, and that means a lot, because those are our people that, you know, they're the salt of the earth people, so it's nice to see, them so excited about it.
Okay. Anybody
God bless
else?
him. That's great.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Alicia. We better get a second on this.
Okay.
Okay, Mike. Any comments, questions? Keep it short.
Actually, we did good.
Those in
Oh,
favor?
oh.
Did pretty good.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Everybody, thank you.
Gavel, gavel, gavel.
Thank you.
Hurry.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike, for supporting that. Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you.
Oh, he didn't say he was, for anybody heard.
I need to do that. That's, I need to get organized.
I'm just gonna get off of like the New Island. It's getting worse. How can it get worse?
Working 16 hours, eh?
That lady from